Round one. Fight! What if the fake news canceled the world's most beloved heroes? When a tragic attack ends the lives of precious innocents, our most celebrated heroes find themselves blamed and canceled by the media that once glorified them. Now in hiding, will they be able to trust each other long enough to prove their innocence? Well, they better fight as hard as they can, because if they don't, an even bigger tragedy is coming. And this time, it will cost millions of lives. Truth, Justice, American Way, the 64-page full-color graphic novel. Get yours today, only on Indiegogo. Wednesday, April 17th. It is me, your friend, Gabe L. Tape. I'm so excited. I don't know how it took us this long to get to this movie shop. I have no idea this long.
I don't know either, man.
Like that meme with who's the guy in Ant-Man? Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Like, do you think we'd be here? Like that
whole, exactly, man.
You know, and here we are. Karate Kid. I almost don't want to start because I don't want it to be over.
I'm with you, man.
I mean? This is such a good movie. My goodness. How you doing today, friend?
I'm doing great, man. You know, it's I feel like we're in Comicsgate wise. There's just a ton of great news dropping. Nosferatu is like on its way to 25K. Your book is knocking it out of the park. Everything's beautiful, and that's just the stuff we can talk about. Like, for example, the artwork you shared with me before the stream that I can't talk about. That people will flip for. So yeah, man. And if I could get something in the chat real quick, guys. Her nickname is Pri, but if I could get some congratulations, Pri, in the chat. My daughter passed her driving test today. So she's very excited, and I'm very proud of her. So feel free to say congratulations, Pri, in the chat.
Yes, Pri, congratulations. So yeah, that's fantastic. It's terrifying and uplifting that your child can now drive.
Yeah, it is, man.
So absolutely, yeah. So okay, so Nosferatu's going good. You're in the groove. Did you get caught up in the Nike Gatorade Michael Jordan triangulation of basketball hype in the 90s? Because I was caught up. I played all day, every day after school at the local parks. We would run, me and my crew, my brother, my friend Merlin. Like, we had our group of guys. Yeah. And you know how you could just you get into a point in the game, sometimes you can't miss, or you're getting every rebound, or whatever your deal was, defender, whatever you were. I feel like CG's right there. Like, we're just like raining buckets. You know what I mean? Like, it's going, it's working. I had my new show on Tuesday nights with Aaron Lepresti, Dan Lawler, Gary Martin, Dave Williams, and myself. And I said, I love being with guys like that. Guys like Jew Shaft, straight up killers that love striving for perfection. It was the NFL trophy is named after Vince Lombardi, Super Bowl
Yep.
trophy. And he has a quote saying, "In the pursuit of perfection, you will achieve excellence."
That's right.
And we know in our minds we'll never be perfect. But damn it, I love being around guys that are fighting for it tooth and nail.
It
This
is.
feels so good. And the fans, they want it. They want us to get that perfection, and that excellence. So I love this. I love this, man. It is a great time to be CG. I love
There's
it.
all these great shows. There's all these we're beginning to not maximize, but we've definitely expanded the points at which somebody can be introduced to Comicsgate, which is awesome. So people are like, "Oh, I'm a fan of this person." They go, "Oh, wait, this person's in Comicsgate. Oh, wait, this person knows this person." And it's great. It just gets people into the pipeline of collecting comics again, man. It's beautiful.
I won't say names, but an absolute legend joined us today. I don't even know if you know. There's a private Twitter chat for Comicsgate, and then there's a Comicsgate King one that is much smaller, the guys that do the Monday show. And oh my gosh, talking to someone today in there. But I won't say because I didn't see it publicly anywhere. So
I probably can guess.
Okay, maybe. I'll let him or her,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but yeah, very excited about that. Oh, and my boy Eric July just texted me today. We're very close. That's what he texted me today. So, and he's got the whole Rippaverse coming. You know about that, right? Wait a minute. Do you have Starbucks?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I have Starbucks.
So cheers. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Eric July. I'm just a member of his channel and enjoy watching his content. But other than that,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I love his For Canon's Sake, man. I don't miss an episode when it's like because I can listen to it while I'm working.
Right.
So he's one of the YouTubers I have a subscription with because I think he just brings a lot of insight to pop culture and is the things he talks about in terms of economics and all of that stuff. I'm always down for. Cool dude.
Nobody calls communists crackheads the way Eric does.
Nobody does.
But we thank him for his service.
Undefeated.
So let's see who's here. Cranberry Langers. I don't know how that started with the British accent. Angela Curry, Cranberry Langers, Scottsley's here. Timmy Mello's here. TBG Animation. TBG showed me in a private message on Instagram some Truth, Justice, American Way animation he or she is working on. I am unsure if you're male or female, TBG. It doesn't matter to me, though. It's very good work. Charles Lee, Dragon Pisces. Who else is here? That may be everyone that's commented, but thank you all for coming in, guys. Oh, Admiral Wackass, First Fight Studio. Did you? Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get. That's an interesting question. Did you guys play arcade games too? Double Dragon, Bad Dudes. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
First Watch Studios. Thank you. We need to delve into that.
We do.
The games that are related to 80s, 90s action that we played at Frankie's Pizza and watched those older boys beat Double Dragon. And my mom didn't know where I was for 2 hours when I was in 6th grade. And I got yelled at when I got home.
Yeah. I love Double Dragon.
Yeah.
It was just, I loved all of it.
Do you like the ending, though? I thought the ending was bogus and a cop-out. You remember it, right?
Yes, I remember. Well, let me just say this. When I would play those games, I actually would always want to draw the villains, the bosses.
Okay.
That was the stuff that I loved about those games. But whenever I got to the end of those games, I don't ever think that they lived up for me personally. Like, not all. Like, I mean, like, what are you going to see you fight Goro, right, at the end of Mortal Kombat. And then you fight Shang Tsung or whatever, but it's like Goro is so amazing. I'm trying to remember way back that far.
Well,
but I had
Double Dragon. What I didn't like about the ending is, I think it's Double Dragon 1. It might be 2, but in number 1, you had to fight your brother or whatever, your buddy at the end over the girl.
Yes,
I thought that was bogus. I didn't like it.
I'm looking at. I just want to see the character I liked in that game. But yeah, it was. I love that game. Oh man, I'm sorry. I was looking at the Double Dragon 2 cover art came out for Nintendo. I definitely drew that. Like, by the way, if you look at the double, oh my god, this is terrifying. If you look at the Double Dragon 2 box art, you've got a hero holding a woman in a ripped kind of dress. It practically is Nosferatu. Oh, jeez.
Let me see.
That's
I'm
kind of scary.
Googleizing it. Oh, this is gorgeous box art. Hold on.
Yeah, man.
And don't worry, folks. We're gonna get to Karate Kid, but
we are.
That comment just pushed us down this avenue.
That's right.
So Blame him. Let me make sure
Yep.
there's nothing funny in here. Sometimes you do these Google searches and there's weird stuff
Hmm.
on the page.
That's
So
exactly right.
yeah, Double Dragon 2. The Revenge.
The
Right?
revenge.
Yeah. Golly, if that isn't everything. And for those of you that know, Beef Law is being done now. I wrote the script. David Williams
Hmm.
slapped me and made me quit being chicken to put it out. And it's 88 pages. And this cover right here of Double Dragons 2, that might as well be Beef Law and
That's right.
Nosferatu. You know,
That's
because in
right.
mine I have brothers, and we got sexy babes. We got Russian mafia in 1994 in Hong Kong, underground pit fights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this
Can,
stuff so much.
can I
I love
just say this too? And this is the thing too. I haven't looked at this game in ages. So, in addition to having flashbacks, the other
Mhm.
thing that I'm doing is going, do you know how when you played video games back in the day, in your mind, the graphics were so incredible?
Right,
You
right,
go back and you look at it and you're like going, it couldn't have looked like that.
right, right. And that, yeah,
It's it's awesome though. Love it,
yeah.
man.
You know, there's something to be said for those like 8-bit graphics, how charming they were because your imagination filled things in, and the
Yeah,
imagination on an emotional level is perfect. So
that's
you
right.
just filled in what Pac-Man's the ghosts. Like, yeah, they're ghosts. I get it. You didn't, and I think like the Call of Duty look and all that Unreal Engine 4, it's
Mhm.
magnificent technology, but to just do realism and be so adherent to realism, it's dead. It's boring. I like video games nowadays that have a crazy style, like Borderlands or
Mhm.
something like that, where they're using the tech, but it has a flavor and it
Yeah.
isn't slavish to, oh, this is photorealistic. Like, okay, well, we have cameras if you want to take a picture. You know what I mean? So I don't know where you come down on that, but to me, you got to learn all the rules, you know, physics and how drawing works, and then bend them to their limits, the rules, and then you become Jack Kirby, right? So there it
I'm
is.
telling you, this right here is the biggest thing, guys. That is for those of you youngins in the chat, and contrary, to what many people say, we do have a few youngins in the chat.
Right,
Is we looked at that box art and that's what we pictured. So the
right,
box artist really dictated what you saw in those
right,
graphics. And there's something what movie posters brought to the table, what all of that stuff brought to the table.
right.
We're trying to bring it back because when we do these comics, yes, oh my gosh, did you have a Nintendo magazine? Did you have a subscription
Oh
to
yeah,
20?
Nintendo Power. I got in the attic here.
Yep.
I got a jillion of them. But
Yeah, I collected
I
those.
keep this at my drawing desk for no particular reason. But this
Yeah.
is just such a touchstone emotionally for me. I'll make
Mm-hmm.
myself big real quick
Yeah,
without eating
please.
a bunch of donuts. This thing is just such an emotional touchstone for me. This Nintendo Player's Guide that would come with the Nintendo back in
Yeah.
like 1985. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah, I adore this book. Just pouring over it. I didn't own 99% of these games, but the imagination you had to use, and the name of the enemy, and the tiny bit of technology they had to do these graphics is just
Yeah.
insane to me. So imaginative. You know, and as artists and writers ourselves, I think that's what we're after. We're always chasing, how do I tell
Yeah.
a story? How do I craft the art? And I think old school video games, man, what a challenge they had to take that much imagination and put it on this 8-bit console that was so limited, you know?
Yeah. We've got NTM Comics in the chat, Noah, the voice of the youth. And we've got Peter Orchard Studios. It's great to see you guys. Admiral Wackass, of course. This is the thing for me about it. First Watch Studios as well. Thank you for being here, guys. I appreciate it. And the thing for me and Gabe about this stuff is that both of us have been on different roads getting to where we are right now, and it's amazing how these different roads lead to kindred spirits. That's one of the most miraculous things. It sort of has always happened. You end up at the comic shop. You all got there different ways, but you get there and it's like, oh, I was looking for you. We could talk comics. And
Right.
for me, men's sort of action film stuff was like the core of everything for me. Like I
Right.
was obsessed with it. I had Van Damme posters in my room, postcards on the wall, all sorts of action stuff. But Karate Kid there's a handful of films that are like the what's it called? The canonical works of my childhood, and Karate Kid is one of the biggest. It is
Right.
just a hugely
And
important movie.
and and the Nintendo game of the Karate Kid is
Mhm.
as bad as the movie is excellent.
I know.
So
Yeah.
it is legendary how bad it is. And I think the first YouTube channel I ever found, I still remember it. It was like 2006. I was watching a doubleheader opening weekend of the NFL season, and I was a little bored. I think the Vikings were getting their ass kicked, and I like YouTube. What's YouTube? And I found the Angry Video Game Nerd. You know about this guy,
Yes, of course.
Cinemaster. And I've been a devotee since 2006. Love his channel. I think he's one of the most creative people I've ever seen. I'm actually friends with them. I've done some art and like posted it and sent to them. Tony from his channel, Cinemasker, I interviewed him on this channel like 2 years ago or something like that. I had Tony on my channel, and he's the Italian guy. But he played the Karate Kid on his channel once, but he says a lot of those like movie license games were made by LJN.
Oh, yes.
And they just butchered the video games.
Yep.
You know, they're just the worst. They're licensed things. So, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, are we ready to talk?
I'm ready.
Oh, real quick, before we get into it, because we're going to get into it, we're going to get philosophical and fun. And but I'll ask you about Nosfero, the Crypt Walker.
Yeah, man.
What is the progress on it? How far along are you, and how's it looking to make it on time and all that? Give the people
it's on schedule. We've got where I probably have, on the art, I've got about a third of the way to go.
Okay.
So I'm almost there, which it's very detailed painted work. But since we're here, hang on a second. Let me show you guys a sneak peek of the scale and scope. Let me see if I can put this on my camera here.
Yeah, and if you haven't backed this hand painted comic.
Yeah. This is a sketch right here of a page.
The description. Sorry, go ahead.
So this right here is a throne with Amun al-Hazaret in it. This is one of those kind of almost inspired by those glass prisms they used to keep in ships. So the sunlight would hit the top and then light would come down into the space as the glass reflected it. And then there's water with a gigantic snake wrapping around pillars. There are obelisks holding this thing in place because it's a doorway to let these eldritch creatures come through. And then he's got these giant albino crocodiles, Nile crocodiles, surrounding him. And this is what is behind all of this stuff. The mummy / Nosferatu character that is the sort of villain behind every, he's the, I don't want to compare him to the Emperor because there's no structure. He is basically the representative of cosmic horror on Earth. And that is how crazy the visuals are in this.
Okay.
So it's going to be awesome.
That's a nice color study we got there. Very cool. So yeah, the description is the link is in the description. If you haven't backed it yet, what are you waiting for? That's great. And then last week, when we're done with tonight's episode, go back on my channel and watch the episode with Superman himself, Dean Cain. He hosted the 60-day closeout with me and David Williams. The first, I want to say like 40 minutes. He came on. He was gracious. He and I have struck up a friendship, and there's a lot more to come there with Mr. Cain. You'll see in the future. Very exciting stuff. So if you haven't backed this yet, please do. If you have, thank you so much. We're at 906 backers. We are dollars away from $57,000. And this one, I talked to David Williams yesterday. And for those of you that don't know, his family's dealt with something very tragic, and they're still dealing with it, but he's on his feet again. And that's why you haven't seen art. If you're wondering, like, hey, Gabe, where are the pages for this thing? Life happened to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the worst way. And we pray for them, and they're doing better. And he's back at the drawing table for the last like a week and a half or so. And we had a phone call yesterday, and it was just delightful. And I can't wait to start showing you guys. So I feel like I'm going to have two campaigns. I had my first 60 days, and then my hands got tied behind my back because poor Dave and his family.
Yeah, man.
And now Dave's back kicking ass again like you wouldn't believe, with a vengeance. And I'll start showing pages and concept art again as soon as he gets them to my, I was going to say hot little hands, but I have to say hot big hands. So, yeah, absolutely. So please consider buying Truth Justice American Way. And if you need to see more art, that's fine too. Once you see more art, if you haven't backed, you'll want to. So
in the middle of your heartfelt statement, John cracked me up in the chat by saying, when I said the representative of cosmic horror on Earth, John goes, "Oh, I thought Shanth was talking about me for a moment." And yeah, I want to just second that. David Williams is a consummate professional. He is an incredible artist. He's got fire in his hand. His stuff in Bass Reeves is great. And like everybody in that comic book sequential art triumvirate that is Gabe El-Taib, Gary Martin, and David King Williams.
Yeah.
there's everybody is bringing their A game, and it is something for all of us to be excited about. The story's going to be great. The art's going to be amazing. It's just it's great. Looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
and the book isn't delayed or anything like that. We got 5 whole months to do 64 pages. I did that with my eyes closed at DC Comics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I collect 3 books a month. That's 66 pages. You know what I mean? In a
That's
month
right.
at DC. So yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be on time. You'll get your book. You'll get your gorgeous collectible one of a kind books is what you'll get.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Yes, it is. I'll tell you this, Cranberry. It's his family, so I won't go into detail. But in life, direction is more important than location.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter where you are. It matters where you were 5 minutes ago and where you are now. Which way you headed? You know what I mean? So if you've made an inch of progress, okay. So yeah, so they're headed in the right way. Hey, look at this. Jay Lee in the and it is a Jim Lee. He's just not
That's right.
that Jim Lee. He's the non-woke Jim Lee.
That's right.
This is good Jim Lee. Best colors in comics today. Thank you. I did a piece for him. I showed it to him this afternoon. I'll show it if you want, Jay, but I always keep things secret unless I get permission. And yeah, so let me know. I'll show it if you want me to.
Right on.
So here we go. But
let's do it.
Delay. Oh, go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. I said let's do it. Yeah, let's talk Karate Kid if you're ready.
Yeah, I am ready. So back our books, please. We love you and we need you. So these photos are all out of order because my daughter just got them to me 5 minutes.
That's the best place you can start.
I didn't get to go sort them out in chronological order. But do you want to take the lead here, Sean?
I'll take the lead on this picture. So I fell in love with this character, Allie with an I, played by Elizabeth Shue in this movie. The first time she appeared on screen, I felt like I got hit by a ton of bricks. And to this day, I tell the missus she is my Allie with an I. That would be that first scene there that I saw her in. And I thought, well, that seems like a great idea for future plans. So I guess I've always had a thing for blondes. And Allie with an I is one of those early indicators of where my life was to take me. And as a perfect way to describe, when your life is in the right direction. Today, my wife got back from having her hair done, looking like, as usual, $1 million. Maybe it was $1.1 million today. And then when she went to bed, for the top of her pajamas, she was wearing a Cobra Kai T-shirt. And I went, life is good. Life is good for me right now. So yeah,
is that why you sent me the private message? Like, hey, are we doing a show tonight? Because you were trying to get out of it because the Cobra Kai.
Yeah, sometimes something comes up. But the thing is when we're looking at this stuff and we're thinking about, I couldn't. My delivery was almost cool on that, but it didn't work out. Okay. But this is the thing, man, about all of this stuff. If for those, like, for someone who was, I don't want to say I was the same age as Ralph Macchio because he was actually playing a lot younger than he was at that point. But for someone who was younger age wise, from to looking up to that age group that he was playing, and somebody who was dealing with a lot of similar stuff, during that time, didn't have, a lot of male guidance around of any kind, and was looking for that. Seeing a movie of that sort of fish out of water story where a guy is having to figure out and find that guidance of a male role model, what Pat Morita did in that movie and what Ralph Macchio embodied in that movie was incredible, man. And it was such a great movie. And the way that he is very much on his own in this story. Like, the thing I love about this movie, because we've got Allie on. Gosh, you got to stop flashing those Allie pictures, man. I'm trying
to look for a little bit more chronological with Mr. Miyagi, but go ahead.
It starts with Allie, it ends with Allie. That's the alpha and the omega. But this is the thing, right? Is that when I look at that movie, and I think about the things that are going on with Daniel, the biggest things that you kind of explain in that, or they kind of really go out of their way to explain that movie, is his mother has moved him away from everybody he knows. He's in a place he doesn't want to be in because that's what she needs for her job, and that's what she needs to make things work. And she doesn't have any time for him, and she just doesn't, and there's nobody watching this kid. Like,
Right.
he's in a new place trying to figure things out. And even there's this part where he's talking to his mom, and then his mom gets called away, and he keeps talking at the table by himself. Like, he's like, I think she's beautiful. I think she's great. Like, he's talking about, and it's like, there's, you really get a sense there's nobody there for this
Yeah.
kid.
And
And
can I
it's great.
interject on that? And I'll let you
Please,
go because
please.
your soliloquy here is beautiful. I think a lot of us 80s, like we were little kids in the 80s and then teens in the 90s, we were
Yeah.
the latchkey kids, is what they called us,
Yes.
remember? And I
Yes.
would walk to third grade with my brother, who was only in fourth grade, and
Mm-hmm.
we'd walk home, and we would have the key to let ourselves in the house and eat cookies and watch cartoons and stuff. And yeah, there was nobody around a lot if your parents were boomers. They were all career-minded moms and dads. So
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead. You said he was loaning the
No,
kid.
no, you were right. But it's even more so than, because I know that that wasn't some people's experience, but you also get the idea when you're watching this flick, and they kind of detail this out in, the Cobra Kai, but it was the assumption it was safe to make that he was in a single parent apartment complex, and for himself, and then everybody else was coming from families where they had financials from their family. They had a 2-parent household, especially Allie, when he goes to her house to pick her up. And he's trying to make it in the same world as people who have more resources, but the biggest resource he's missing is male guidance.
Yeah.
He's like, when he's trying to teach himself karate after he gets beat up looking at a book. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is the thing, that we'll get to this at some point, because the single most important thing about this movie is how and it gets me when I think about it, is this is really the story about a young kid, a teenager, who's lost his father and doesn't have his father in his life. His father died. And a old American man who lost his wife and son in labor,
Mm-hmm.
and does not have
In an
a son.
internment camp when he was fighting for the country that interned
Yes.
him and his family. How do you like?
Yes.
How's that taste?
And that part where he is intoxicated, and and Daniel for the first time gets this dude,
Right.
and he's like, what's behind this guy? Poetry. Hail to you, Louis Filet. Great to see you, brother.
Love it.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, that got me. That sequence is,
Right.
Pat Morita should have had an Oscar for that movie. I know he was nominated, but he didn't. I don't think he won it, but he should have gotten an Academy Award for that. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Did he get an Academy Award? I don't think he did.
I don't think he did, but he should have. And it's such a good movie because again, it's what it is at its core is it's hopeful and it's I don't have a word for this. I'm sure there is. It's anti-cynical. So I guess
Yes.
hopeful, right? It's not cynical like so much of the stuff today. And we're not going to get cynical and negative and angry.
No,
We're going to be happy and positive right now. But this movie is hopeful. You have a broken people, broken homes, you got broken bones. And just like Rocky, just like all these great movies we talk about here with you guys, it shows you no matter how hard your heart is broken, don't give up. The triumph of the human spirit. Even if you go all 15 rounds like Rocky Balboa and lose to the champ, you still won because you didn't quit. And Daniel-san is the same way. Just to sum up the movie real quick for those of you that haven't seen it, he moves to Reseda, which is the valley. I live in San Diego. I live in, with no traffic, I live an hour from Los Angeles. With traffic, it's a 3 or 4 hour drive. So Reseda's in the valley. That's north of Hollywood. The mountain range that says Hollywood on it. To the south of that is Los Angeles and all that stuff. And to the north of it is the valley, and it's hotter than hell up there. Not a great place to live. And Reseda's right there. And it's not a great place. He's moved from New Jersey. His father's passed away. He goes to school. He doesn't fit in. He goes to a beach party one night, and this guy in the middle, Johnny Lawrence, who is the star of the new show on Netflix, which is a great show. I've only seen the first 3 seasons. The fourth I haven't seen, but I enjoy that show. And they beat the crap out of this kid because he's trying to defend the girlfriend at the beach party. And what
Well,
happened? Oh,
actually, just to be
go
clear,
ahead.
because this is important, he goes to this new town. He meets a guy who's a potential friend. The guy invites him to go hang out at the beach. They
Mm,
notice that there's this attractive girl on the beach flirting with him. He starts talking to her, and then her ex boyfriend shows up with his friends, who
right,
turns out to be the most popular kids in the school. And in defending her, he's also very good at karate, beats and embarrasses him in
right.
front of everybody, including the people he went there with. And as he's laying there in the sand, the guys who went there with him, it was like, where did you, or his friends are like, where'd you find this guy? And the guy's like, ugh, and they leave. So when he shows up at school and he sees the guys who he went to the beach with after getting his ass kicked, he looks over at them and he's like, oh, hey guys. And the guy who was nice before looks at him and goes, hey, Karate Kid. Ah!
Right. And
And
you
that's
know,
where he gets the nickname.
you remember how he tries to hide his black eye from his mother with sunglasses?
Yes.
That
God,
is
yeah.
such a tragic moment for me because if you had the single parent home or you were
Mm-hmm.
neglected, you understand the deep, deep meaning of why he did that. He
Yeah.
didn't feel like his hurt and his pain, his physical pain, but his mental
Yeah.
pain would be remedied by anyone. No one is coming through that door to soothe
That's
him, to
right.
love him, to heal him. So he just figured, you know what? It's going to cause more trouble if she sees this thing. So he's
Yeah.
just willing to go on with this injury and not tell an adult or anything like that
I
and
did
get
that
some
stuff
help.
all the time. That's why this
Right.
movie was so great, is trying to that's why I love the sequence. So after he gets, I guess beat up at the beach
Right.
and there's nobody asleep. Everybody his mom's asleep at the switch. I mean, in terms of she's working, she's busy, he's on his own
Right.
for all intents and purposes. He meets the apartment repairman, jack of all trades,
Right.
and he the maintenance man, and he and Pat Morita, and he comes to fix the sink in the apartment, and he's practicing karate from a book, and he says, "What happened to your eye?" And he goes, "Oh, I fell off my bike," and and his mother goes, "Oh my gosh, a bike accident!" Like she takes his lie, and he says,
Right.
"It's fine." It's like blah blah, but Mr. Miyagi looks at him and goes, "Lucky no hurt hands." And just calls him
Ah,
out on his bullshit. And
right.
that is it's the and he's and his response he just keeps doing his kicking and he's like pissed because Miyagi saw it.
Right.
I love that, man. It's
I love it
beautiful.
that the father figure, the defender, the guider,
Mm-hmm.
the guider, is that a word? The guide, the
Mm-hmm.
defender, and he's going to hold you to a standard. He's going to tell
He
you your
is.
line. He's going to work you hard. And so to get some revenge on these guys that bullied him, there's a great scene. There's I think it's a Halloween dance at the
Mm-hmm.
school. That's why you love the skeletons. So Johnny Lawrence, the rich, cool, blonde, handsome bully guy, and his friends. I don't have a picture of it, but uh Daniel-san, he gets a hose and pours water all over him when he's in a bathroom stall, and then that gets him his ass kicked. He's running home from the school dance, and it's very like comic booky, but also weirdly creepy and ethereal. He gets beat up by a bunch of guys in skeletons, and I know the obvious symbolism there, but it feels like a weird, like a lightweight nightmare or dream to me. That scene, it feels very, very. I don't know what I just it gives me a creeped out feeling. Him getting the shit kicked out of him by skeletons.
Yeah, if you've
Like
ever been beat up by a group of people, in when you're in high school, if you've ever had that kind of experience, it's one of those things you watch and you just go, like, yeah, I don't even know how to describe it, but I
yeah.
remember the sequence where they're basically just holding him up, like he's out, like
Hold on,
and the guy's like, he's
Enrique.
had enough. Yeah, that's right. Go
Enrique
ahead.
keeps putting down Daniel, calling him the villain, and saying Johnny.
Let me
It's
just be
making me laugh.
clear. Yeah, and I loved. I've loved that ever since that came up. That whole approach to it. But I also want to point out that Johnny Lawrence was rolling a joint in the bathroom when
Right,
he
that's right.
poured the
He's
water over him,
rolling a
which was
fat
another kind of
spliffy.
tip of the hat. You
Right.
know,
Look at this. Moral of the movie: sweep the leg.
that's right.
So, after he gets the beat down, I don't have a picture, but it's so sad. So many pathetic things happen to Danny LaRusso here. Keep
Hmm.
calling him Daniel's son. When he's getting away from these bullies, the skeleton bullies running, you see how high he got up on the fence there? He
Hmm.
almost got away, and
Yep,
then they grabbed him and kicked the crap out of him. And
that's right.
to me, that's so pathetic and not making fun. Like, I really feel sorry for this character that he almost got over the fence, and then he catches a beating like he's never caught before. And then sorry, I don't have a photo. These photos came to me right before the show. Then Mr. Miyagi comes out of the fog and all that, and beats up some children, which is an
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
thing. But
Well,
it's
as
in
far as
defense.
he knew,
It's in defense.
they were skeletons. No, but it's he didn't know. And he beats up a bunch of children being played by people likely in their 20s. No, but it's one of those things. Yeah, I'll decide when he's had enough, man.
Right. They're really giving it to him. And Johnny Lawrence says that. I'll decide when
Yeah,
he's had
man.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's this is the thing I loved about that whole thing though, is that the whole you couldn't leave well enough alone, right? So there's a fighter in him, and this is the funniest thing. Let me challenge the chat on this, okay?
Hold on.
Enrique,
We
yeah,
found a plot hole. We
Yeah.
found a plot hole from Enrique Cabrera.
Mhm.
Marijuana, the drug known for making people the opposite of violent. Daniel taking advantage of an intoxicated individual. That's I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
But he's really this is Daniel. This is Johnny Lawrence's lawyer. You know what I
Yes.
mean? He's just defending him.
No, but see, this is the thing. It's a red herring because all of Daniel's problems and Johnny's problems are manipulated by the lovely Elizabeth Shue. Because if it wasn't for her, like this is the thing. This is a very strange aspect to this that I think that we have to look at, which is the being embarrassed in front of a girl. You know,
Ooh,
and when she's like, Daniel, can I help you? And he's like, just leave me alone. You know, he's on the beach
right.
beat up and all that stuff. He's trying to figure out how to be a guy, and he doesn't know how to fit in and gain respect.
right.
So I would argue you're right. What he did with the shower thing, depending on how you look at it, was a little bit of a bitch move. Like he didn't have it out with those guys. Do you see what I mean? He didn't start really dealing with his problems until a guy showed him how and walked him to the dojo. And he was like, "You just gonna walk?" I mean, even Kreese said that. But he goes, "You're just gonna, we're not just gonna walk in there." And he's like, "Yeah, let's deal with this thing head on instead of passive aggressively." And I think that's what's interesting about this. Yeah, but see, if he had gotten to smoke that joint, for all you know, Daniel would have come in there and seen him, and he'd be like, "Daniel, man, I'm sorry. Things aren't good at home. Let's get high together." And things would have worked out.
Hey, man, do you know they have flaming hot Funyuns now?
Exactly. He was like, man, it's like, dude, get down on these Cheetos with me, man.
Right.
Let's just eat these Cheetos and get high.
Yeah,
and then it would have been Cobra High.
Who among us has not spent $87 on food at a gas station?
Nobody I need to know.
Right. So after he gets a crap beat out of him and Mr. Miyagi figures out what's up, he wants to give him some training and stuff. And does he do some training first, or do they go right to the Cobra Kai dojo? I forgot.
They go right to the Cobra Kai dojo.
And they're going to settle it at the All Valley Karate Tournament on December 19th, as you can see on that poster there.
That's exactly right.
So they're going to settle this nonsense. And that's where we meet Johnny Lawrence's sensei, Creel, who's a bad seed.
Kreese.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Why did I say Creel? That's Sabretooth is Creel. What the hell am I talking about?
We're comic fans, and we got a lot of fictional names in our heads.
A lot of things.
We got a lot of things happening.
There was hold on. There was a comment by Mike. I think it was Micah Gunnell saying it was the Kramer School of Karate talking about Mr. Miyagi. Because on that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer beats up a bunch of little kids in his karate class.
They do that in Always Sunny too, which is pretty terrifying.
I think Dwight Schrute does that too, or something like that. I don't remember.
This is the thing about it, right? Is that let's all, like, if you haven't done it yet, at some point go watch Pat Morita's early stand-up routine, and you will grasp how good of an actor he is in this movie.
Right.
It's like he is acting his tail off, particularly in that one scene. But when you see them have that confrontation, right? This is the real problem. And this is the thing that I think they're kind of addressing in Cobra Kai, but something I hope that they would actually, there you go. Crusher Creel.
Maybe that, I got my name screwed up. Sorry. But go ahead. Sorry.
This is the thing, right? Is that Johnny Lawrence was, and this is why Cobra Kai is so great for this, he didn't have clearly a strong enough role model in his life to tell him, hey, I don't know what's going on with you and this dude, but this dude's bad news. He did not, like, at a certain point, Johnny Lawrence did, and actually you saw this with the guy who said he's had enough, let him go, right? That guy in Cobra
Right.
Kai is the same guy who gets ordered to take out his leg and take him out of commission. And the first thing he says after he does it is he goes to the ground. He goes, "Daniel, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Like it's sincere to me. You get the sense it's sincere. He's like, these
Yeah.
guys are like,
Oh yeah,
they're having a
you
tough
can
time,
see
man.
it's the sensei here is driving everything with his own twisted
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, his own twisted lack of grip on reality and
Yep.
humanity. And no spoilers, but if you check out the Netflix adaptation or the Netflix TV series, they go into what in the hell is wrong with him. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So, and it's pretty neat. It seems to pay off. Here's Amber Heard's lawyer also defending Johnny Lawrence again. Kreese knew that if Daniel could fight fairly, sorry, I just took a big swallow of coffee, he'd
That's
be
fine.
able to join the tournament. And if he wasn't qualified to fight, he wouldn't be allowed to enter. But Miyagi lied to get him in. Dishonor. I love how
That's absolutely right.
him.
Well, this is the thing. What a lot of people don't know, and Enrique, I'm not trying to ruin this movie for people. Okay.
Right.
So if you watch the movie closely, if you go back, mixed in with all the bonsai trees is a lot of weed. And he was dealing weed to Johnny Lawrence, Miyagi. I'm telling you. It's people haven't really explored this. So it's a big circle of very betrayal.
That's what this was really all about.
That's what it was really all about.
Kreese was the OG supplier of the weed, and Morita stepped in on his territory.
But
that's really back, what the fight is about at its heart.
Yeah, and I gotta say this because this is a big thing for me. I thought that the Johnny Lawrence character, with the opening scene of Karate Kid 2 and the ending scenes of Karate Kid 1, got a lot of redemption. And I'd love to see them explore that a little bit more because Miyagi saved Johnny Lawrence.
Right.
At the beginning of Karate Kid 2. And he said, "You're all right, LaRusso," at the end of Karate Kid 1. Like, he earned their respect. So they both did their share of things, but that tournament, which is as odd, I get why they're doing it in Cobra Kai, but they actually squashed their beef. Because it's not like they were going to see each other after senior year anyway.
Right.
Like, it's not like they were in each other's lives the next year.
Yeah. And I think we need to inject this back into pop culture and the stories we're telling, Sean, of the classic masculine archetype of being the father, being the protector, being the warrior and all that. And that's what Miyagi is here when he goes there with, he goes to Kreese's school and he confronts him about, hey, your kids are skilled fighters and they beat the crap out of this kid, and it was 3 or 4 on 1. And he confronts him like a man. And look, I mean, he's much smaller, probably not nearly as strong, but he's like, I'm going to stand up for my guy. And I have a personal story about that. When my daughter was in high school, you know how girls can gossip and bully. And I'm sure you have, a daughter that you said at the beginning of the show, and you have a son, and you know how different it is raising them, especially when they're in high school. Sometimes your daughter will her eyes will be filled with tears, and then she tells you what's wrong, and you feel bad for her, but you kind of think in your head, like, this is just like crazy girl drama. Like, this makes no sense to me. Like, I feel bad, but like, why is this happening? And as men, I don't relate to the gossip and the backstabbing. And my daughter, she got bullied for a minute from some other girls at school, and it got bad with social media and all this. So, and it was with like one of her sports teams. So I called the athletic director and told him that we were going to meet tomorrow with these parents. So I met, and those girls were there, the 2 or 3 that were picking on her, and they were some of her good friends. So I went in there, me, the athletic director, and my wife, my daughter, and these other kids. So like 10 people in the room. And you see Mr. Miyagi there. Now just imagine he's a 6'4", 290-pound me. And I let everyone have it. And I told him whatever the fuck I wanted because, like, I don't work at the school. You can't fire me. You can't kick me out of here. And I just let him have it. And I turned to the girls and yelled at him and said, you're going to stop. You're not going to do anything. And if you do anything to retaliate, because I told, I got you in trouble with the school and I yelled at you to your face. If you do anything to retaliate, it's going to get a lot worse for you guys. And what really pissed me off, I still talk to my wife about it to this day. This is like 7, 8 years ago, is the dad of one of the girls. He just looked at me and let me yell at his daughter and wife. And I have no respect for that. He should have told me to F off or nobody talks to my wife that way. I'm being serious. I know it's funny,
I
but
no no no. I'm saying I agree with you. I'm
but I
laughing
couldn't
because
believe
it's
what a
like
puss he was, because I just let everyone have it in the room, and then that was the end of it, and she was never bothered again.
yeah.
And so to me, I think as that latchkey kid, and my parents were divorced, so I was neglected a lot and alone a lot, and that horrible black empty feeling of no one's coming to help you, nobody
Yes.
loves you, nobody's going to soothe you, nobody's going to show you how to do
Yeah.
anything. It's such a terrible feeling, and I see that, and maybe I'm projecting, but I see that in Daniel LaRusso, and I see how Miyagi, he steps in. I think TBG Animation said way back in the comments that that's the father that the fatherless dreamed of. That
It totally
That's
is.
who Miyagi was. That he's gonna be way smaller, but he's gonna stand there, maybe get his ass kicked, but he's not gonna let you go by yourself. And that's
Yeah.
so meaningful for our generation and the ones after that don't have these dads around. We need them.
Yeah, well, it's the same director as Rocky, and I mean, you could ask the question,
Right,
where's Rocky's father? Where are
right,
any of the fathers? There's just, male substitute is what you could
yeah,
call it, in their place. And, sometimes it's that guy coming to your place. Sometimes it's Mick coming to your place going, because you could have been something.
right,
It's the opposite of on the waterfront, but I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. You were my brother, Charlie. You should have looked out for me.
right,
In this situation, a guy came in and was looking out for him. A guy came in and was like going, you could have been somebody. This is a shot. It's like,
right,
and and Mr. Miyagi, actually, it's a very different structure, and so the director is masterful. Same director, but the part where he goes, "Oh, great! Now I got to look forward to this tournament," and he says, "I just saved you 3 months beating," or whatever it is. And I also like that he gives him both a physical and an emotional commitment, which is something Joseph Campbell talks about. So he basically says, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to train you. And you guys, funny enough, both guys, as imperfect as everybody in this story could be looked at, both parental figures agree to a deal to settle it like men. And they both, do their schemes. But
right.
I mean, I was one of those kids. I was one of those kids going, I wish I had a Mr. Miyagi in my life. One of my favorite quotes is, be the adult you needed when young. It's one of my
Right.
favorite quotes of all time. And I thought the same thing when I saw Obi-Wan Kenobi in Luke Skywalker's life, Yoda in Luke Skywalker's life for that matter.
Yeah.
But there were lots of great male role models for the fatherless. And I think we would do well to have more great role models who are also fathers and husbands and family men too. Like, I feel like we've got to do a lot more than just regain the ground to the 80s.
Right.
We've got to go past that.
Absolutely. We got to build off of it. And that's one thing, again, not getting negative, but this
Yeah.
far leftism, postmodernism, they want to act like history started this morning. So it's like we have plumbing and paved roads. Well, before the next generation needs them, let's just pave over them and let them start from zero. And they call themselves progressives, but like progress would be sustaining the past so you can build off of it. That's what conservatism is. Conservatism is actually very progressive because that's how you progress. That the knowledge I have today I didn't find it out today. You're like, there's new discovery in science. No. That little part of the discovery is new, but it's based on thousands of years of Western scientific method.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that is what the big brains that go to college and get their master's degrees. And by the way, I was an honor student in college. I'm not against education, but
I have a master's degree. It's not the point, right?
Right.
I know how evil it is. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
I'm against the religious worship of academia. You know what I mean?
So I would probably go further and harder on it than you would, man. I've seen it.
You taught there for 18 years, and I don't know how you did that.
So, getting a master's degree, for anybody wondering, getting a master's degree in fine arts is like going to the DMV for a few years.
For a few years.
For a few years.
I thought you were going to say a few hours, a few years.
No, a few years. Yeah. It's the best way I could put it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So he goes to the party. He puts the water all over that dope smoker, Johnny Lawrence.
That's
gets
right.
the crap kicked out of him. Mr. Miyagi saves him. confronts them here at their evil dojo for Cobra Kai. Let's
Yes.
settle it like men at the All Valley tournament. And the Valley's such a terrible place. When Wildstorm closed in the end of 2010, I was on staff at DC Comics in San Diego at the Wildstorm office. Many of us were offered jobs. We didn't need to go freelance. And I could have gone up there as like a production artist or whatever. But I'm like, I am not living in the Valley. You couldn't pay me to live in the Valley. It's not a nice place, guys. It's hot. It's hot. Ugh, I live 3 miles from the Pacific Ocean. It is nice and 65 year-round at my house. Not going to the Valley. So I feel like that's the subtext of this movie.
Yes.
For those of us that know, the Valley is also hell. It's a metaphor for hell. So
yes, it's a metaphor for traffic.
Oh no, the 405 and the 101, the worst. So after all this, we're going to take you out at the All Valley tournament. He starts training. Oh, wait, no. He starts training this way.
That's right.
And that's where we get the famous wax on, wax off, and the painting and all of it.
Paint the fence, wax on, wax off, paint the house. And that is where we get a thing that that's where we get a narrative manifestation of Jordan Peterson's Clean Your Room.
Right.
You know, which is, I think that kids who don't do dishes, don't clean up after themselves, don't clean the house, don't do any of that stuff are at a tremendous disadvantage in life, because you really have to know it's I always tell people this, it's one of the best cures for any kind of stress, anxiety. I think that's why Peterson did that, which is taking the time to meet those needs of your environment. And when I watch that, I think, yeah, show me sand the floor, all that stuff. And guys, the brilliance of that is once he's done all that work and we can get to it, and he confronts Miyagi about it. He goes, show me wax on, wax off. And he's like, you know, I can't do it. My arm hurts or whatever. And then Miyagi fixes his arm and he goes, show me, or show me wax on, wax off, I think it was. And he goes, how did you do that? Like he's asking him about his shoulder, and Miyagi shouts, show! And it's like, fuck, this guy's not kidding around.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then he comes at him. He's like, he is essentially, this is what I used to tell my college students back when college wasn't totally insane, just mostly insane. I used to say, I'm a dragon training knights in how to kill me, but I'm not going to put the sword in. You have to want it, and I'll take your head off when it's time. Right. And that's what he does. He says, now I'm going to come at you, and I'm not going to shout out what you got to do. Right. It's a great sequence.
It's so good. I love this comment by the Ragu Overlord. If you don't know karate, stay out of the valley.
That's exactly right, man.
Like, yeah, Angela Curry said somewhere earlier, she said something about the one city that loved karate so much.
Exactly. Yeah. Hilarious. Well, and let me just say this too about Ali with an eye too, which one of the things I thought was beautiful about it. And this is a very one of the most beautiful scenes in the film. And by the way, Ralph Macchio still has the car from the movie that Miyagi gives him. Yes, wow. He still has it. He loves this movie. It's beautiful that he has that. But this is the thing, that rite of passage of the car thing and how big that was, and his mom's, broken down station wagon that he has to pick the girl up in, and it's embarrassing. Miyagi gives him one of the best lines in the world. Where'd all these cars come from? Detroit. One of the greatest lines in a movie for me. And he gives him that car, but he also says to him before, he hands him the picture of the girl, and he goes, look good together. Different, but same. And he goes, no, man, different, but different. And he goes, no. And he said, karate and all these things, or balance is not just about karate. Balance is in your whole life. You understand?
Right.
So go find balance. And he goes to see the girl and talk to her, and have it out. And there's some great camera work in their argument. Beautiful camera work at the golf and stuff. But yeah.
I'm digging those up. I'm digging some up for you because we need it. We need it for the photo. So yeah, the car, magnificent. It's oldies. He has all those great old cars. Oh, here's one. When they go out to the golf, like miniature golf and all that. Oh, the 80s. What a time.
I have so many photos from back in the day where we'd go up to Northampton, Massachusetts, and they had this photo booth. They still have it there. And I have pictures of my wife and I together with, sweet little kisses in the photo booth, all the way up to us and our 2 kids crammed into that photo booth, starting with them in our laps as babies, all the way up to being 14, 15-year-olds.
Wow.
And we are all just in there. And I love that kind of thing. So,
Right.
and to me, I remember thinking to myself, if I can get a beautiful blonde, a wonderful angel like my wife Lauren, and if I can get that in my life, and we could take pictures in a photo booth, that'll be worth living for. And
Damn right.
yeah, that's what it's about, man.
Very cool. I like this question, and I like the logo. They got a Cobra Kai logo there.
Nice. Yeah.
Opinionated person, could be anyone. Hey, Gabe and Sean, have you done any martial arts? I have first belt in karate and aikido. I haven't done any martial arts like that. I did wrestle in high school.
Yes.
So, and I remember I was at a wrestling tournament at Granite Hills High School. And at a wrestling tournament, you wrestle a few times throughout the day if you keep winning. And I won my first match, and then I hung out for like an hour. And I didn't know when my second match was coming, so I ate my lunch my mom had packed for me. And then I had to wrestle my next match within, seconds of swallowing my food. So in that match, I threw up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a grape. But I knew if I let it out, I would get disqualified and lose. So I swallowed it and won the match.
That's your Karate Kid story, man. That's the story.
That is 10th grade Gabe El Taib wearing a spandex singlet. Looked like I was stealing fruit.
Yeah,
those things don't leave anything to the imagination. Those outfits.
They don't, man. That's how you let the ladies know. I studied Taekwondo actually up until I got to red belt. So right before testing for black belt at my local dojo. So that was fun. But yeah, I mean, it's Taekwondo is I really enjoyed it. I was never particularly good in tournaments. We weren't. I always sort of felt like the thing about Taekwondo is, which is why I enjoyed boxing a lot more, was that I just didn't feel like we really at our particular thing. It was about point fighting, and that stuff doesn't really help you as much. If someone knows how to take you down, this from MMA. If somebody knows how to take you down, it's and you're not accustomed to people going all out at you in a fight. It's like you got to learn that from fights. You can't really.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. I mean, I love Taekwondo. It's a beautiful martial art.
I wrestled about how you would imagine. I never lost, and I played football for a few years first, and then my brother, when the football season ended, said, "Why don't we join the wrestling team so we keep doing something after school?" So I wrestled like a defensive lineman. I would pounce on people, cram them into the ground, and then just pin them. But I was wrestling guys. I was wrestling as a heavyweight on varsity in 10th grade, actually, and I went to a huge high school. It was a lot of fun. But I will never forget my quick thinking of swallowing that sandwich mid-match.
Yeah, you have to, man. You have to.
Lost. So so no karate or anything like that for me, but I did wrestle. So yeah, there we go. Let's see. Okay, so after the training and the date and all that, does it go right to the tournament? I haven't seen the movie in over a year.
Let's see. After the date, he goes to pick her up
country club
at the country club, and he goes in through the kitchen, which is so completely the door between in that metaphor anyway, between classes, so to speak. He goes in like through the door of one of the help, and she Johnny Lawrence sees him there and plants one on Allie to make him jealous. And then he walks into Pasta. And by the way, listen, you're going out on a date, kid. You're wearing white pants. What the heck were you thinking anyway?
That's right.
That's the one place where I'm like,
Now, why does he go in? Why does he go in through the kitchen? Because I know he ends up with the spaghetti all over him at this big fancy.
Well, because she's late coming. Look at him. He's wearing all. I mean, they set this poor kid up in this movie for Pasta.
Right.
You know, where in his mind was he going to eat where that was a good outfit choice anyway? Like, let's be real. Sorry, like but this is the thing, right? But I also think, look at him. Look what he's wearing and look at all the people around him
Um,
in the kitchen. He's dressed like he belongs in the kitchen,
right, right.
you know,
Not with
and
the not with the fancy people out at the party, right?
exactly. And
Right,
so when he sees that and when he falls down, he jumps to the conclusion. And this is the stuff that where Elizabeth's shoes, people don't ever realize, like I always say this, is that the high school girls, man, when you're in high school, when you're a high school boy, high school girls, the smartest thing they ever came up with was to stay in groups in all situations that a
right,
guy has to approach solo. You hope for one wingman with some guts. And when
right,
he goes to talk to Allie, she's with two of her girlfriends, and they are just taking turns letting him have it. You know, all three of them.
right.
And it's you know, it's they tag in at various points, and it's really well shot. They actually have them walk and switch sides as the camera moves. It's great camera work. And he comes up and he's like and he just keeps, you know, attacking her for like her kissing him, and he's like, we're different, you know, you just can't handle it. And she's like, I handle it fine, you can't. And her friend goes, I'll never forget it. Her friend goes, because it cracked me up. It was like one of those insights into girls. She goes, he's like, you know, you didn't stay around for the exciting conclusion. He goes, what was that? His hand on her ass? And she goes, no, her right hook. You think she sprained it doing her nails? And she's like, well, why didn't she tell me? And she goes, she shouldn't have to, should she? I
Yeah,
was like, freaking dying. I was
yeah.
like, dang. So
That
then
is,
he goes over and they have a hell of a good kiss. Angela Curry, I do disagree with you on Allie. I gotta be honest with you, but I understand. Listen, you know, it's you gotta take her down.
yeah. I want to expand on that, on those differences of men and women in high school and all that, but just in
Yeah.
general in the whole dating world and all that. If you want to laugh, Sean,
Mhm.
tell your wife to hit on you and say you can't use your body, like a woman could do that and that would work. Like verbally, hit on me.
Yeah.
Ask women to do that. It's hilarious. They don't know how. They
They
have
don't.
zero game. They have zero
Mhm.
game. And that's just a huge difference that we as men have to go into the lion's den alone
We
and
do.
ask women on dates and ask them for this, and we have to be the initiators. And man, do you go down in flames sometimes, and you just eat shit. And then the best part or the worst part is your
Yeah.
buddies laugh at you when they find
Mhm.
out, or you tell them. They don't say, oh man, I'm sorry, that must have been humiliating. They'll start repeating it and mocking it. And this is just something women don't have to go through. And I
They
talk to
don't.
my son about it early and often, like, you're going to flame out, but it's
Yeah.
okay because it's a numbers game. You'll do fine. The only thing you can't be is scared to do it. So you ask girls out, you befriend them, this and that, and you're going to get shut down, but not always. So, and women don't know. You don't know what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, it's for and it's and this is the thing for me about it too, is that I always tell Lauren, like, you know, I told you this, we were talking numbers for attractiveness one time, and I was giving, you know, I was saying, you know, like, here's the thing about attractiveness. You just have to be in this zone. You don't have to be a 10, but you have to have the right balance. And
Right.
so she asked me what number I gave her. Like,
Uh-oh.
I'm not gonna tell you what that number was, but I did because I'm a guy, and that's why I'm married.
Your wife
Like,
asked you, you're saying your wife asked you her number and
yeah.
you had to,
Mhm.
you just say 11.
Not me. No, man, that's not how I
Sean,
work. I'm rough,
living dangerously.
dude. So this is what I said. She goes, and this is on a 10 scale, and she was
Oh,
like, "Really? That's where you think I am?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, about like for the average guy, like not somebody who's like gets to know you. You know, she's an 11 to me, but that wasn't the point." And she goes, "Well, what are you?" I said, "Baby," I said, "I'm a 4, but I've got game for fucking days. That's all there is to it. It doesn't
oh,
matter. There is no, like, I should never have done as well as I did. I was a homecoming king nominee at 111 pounds, soaking
oh,
wet with a
that's
brick
funny.
on my head. You know, like we were talking about prom, and I was like, I went to 5 proms because a junior asked me out when I was a sophomore to go to her prom, and there was an all boys and all girls school. I was doing fine. But the thing about it is I knew how to take a rejection. I didn't sit around and wait. I didn't go, oh, I want to get some coffee. Let's be friends. And then maybe I can turn into something. Like, this is a true story. Lauren and I were talking. I know this is off the beaten path, but Karate Kid brings this out of me. Lauren and I were talking, and I was hanging out with this somewhat, dare I say, attractive blonde girl who was just a friend to me. I just saw her as a friend. And her nickname was the Bahama Mama. And she was very cool. And
Wow.
we were friends.
I was going to
And
say something so crude. Oh,
okay. Hold that thought.
as soon as you said it, like a reflex, I just heard it in my head. I'm like, shut up, Gabe.
We've got to fight the devil.
That kind of party. Knock it off.
We gotta fight the devil. But it's like, this is the thing, right? Is that so we were up late at night and we were hanging out and we were talking, and the mood was, you could cut the mood with a knife.
Right.
And she said to me, she goes, you know what I like about talking to you? She's like, it's like you and Jen, you got, it's like we can be friends and there's no stress about sexual tension. Do you know what I mean? And I looked her dead in the eye without missing a beat. And I said, I don't see you anywhere near the way I see Jen. Just dead silent. I was like, I don't see you like I see Jen at all. And she just was like, turned like flushed and was like, what? And I was like, all right. I said, good night. See you tomorrow. And I just let her stew on that for a day. And I remember I told my son this, I go, because I knew if she came by to say hello the next day, she'd know why she was there. So that's one of those things. Goodness. And she was like, and she came by and it was the same thing, I always say this, is that you have to learn this stuff, and you have to be willing to take a rejection. Like when I said that, she could have just been like, oh, all right, I'm done with you. But I told her this one time too, like, again, another Sean line, it was awful. She was like she's like, I think about us as being friends. And I said, you know what? When it comes to friends, I just have more in common with guys. Don't take it personally. I don't need a girlfriend. That's right. I need a girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm looking.
I got a relative. I won't say, but he is quite the ladies' man. We'll put it nicely. Yeah. And that's what he would tell women that wanted to get to know and be friends. He said, I got a lot of friends. I'm not looking for new friends.
Yeah, well, and I also say this too, man, and it's a big thing. And maybe this is old school, I don't know, but I don't believe in wasting women's time, and I don't believe in women wasting my time either. So it's a two-way street. And I'm like, I like to know what people are about, and I like to know, like to let them know what I'm about. And it is what it is, man. And it's like, and I think that women respect that. And I think, in a lot of ways, Daniel was basically learning how to get on the path to being a guy in this movie. Right. I think in a lot of ways it's different than Rocky, because Rocky was at the point where he was able to do something about it. He was able to get married. He was able to have a family. That was the stage he was at. Daniel was just kind of getting on the path of the whole father thing, like what it was like.
Yeah.
And you kind of see, I will say, the one great thing they've done in Cobra Kai is they've really revealed the kind of, we know that Johnny Lawrence is a disaster as a parent. Bless him.
But he has that heart of gold.
He has a heart of gold.
He's so well-meaning, but for some reason, he can't get his responsibility to line up with his love for his son.
But what it's revealed is the gaps in LaRusso's parenting.
Right.
Daniel's parenting and his dependency on going to Miyagi's grave and living, with this idea of Miyagi, he misses a lot of things, trying to be overprotective and hiding his daughter from the darker side of things, because she was like the golden child. Right. And then she gets wounded, her arm, she gets scars. And, that's the thing about it. Trying to protect your kid from everything leads them open, because they're not going to think that there's not a dark side out there. It's best if you introduce them to that a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you said to me when we were on that stream the other day, don't go looking for the line.
You'll find it.
You'll find the line if you go looking for it. And
I've given that advice to a lot of people. like you couldn't picture so-and-so doing something to you or kicking your ass or really hurting you in a metaphorical way. You can find it with everyone. If you just think of them as math problems, as equations, there's eventually a scenario where the 98-year-old grandmother would attack you physically. You could make
Mhm.
that happen if you really wanted it to. Please don't.
Yeah.
But you get my
Yeah.
meaning. Don't look for the line with people. Do
Don't look.
not
And
do
by
that.
the way, like, what was it when he said you couldn't leave well enough alone? Yeah, or you could have left well enough alone, but you had to push it. Yeah, he did. He had to
Right.
push that line. Now, what a man does, and I loved this with Miyagi and Kreese when he goes, he's like, "You're a pushy little bastard, aren't you?" But I like that. I like that. That is, he's pushing the line. He's
Right.
establishing where the line is. That's what guys are supposed to do. They're supposed to
Yeah.
say, "This is my line. Can you deal with this?
Yeah.
Can we work with this? If you overstep the line, I'm going to let you know." And
Right.
I'm not going to go, I'm going to go behind your back and I'm going to say some things. That's the bitch move. I'm going to put the little water hose over there and I'm going
Yeah.
to like do something because I'm still carrying this. You got the best of me. Well, wait till I
Yeah.
get you.
Right. Yeah. So he let's jump back. He goes to the Halloween dance, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
dumps water on Johnny Lawrence when Johnny's not paying attention. And
Yep.
then yeah, they're in the bathroom stalls. I don't have a picture of the water attack, but it ends up getting him his butt kicked because it was a bitch move.
It was
It
a
was
bitch move.
a punk move to sucker punch. We know as men, Sean, we know this
Mm-hmm.
about violence. Men live a very different reality than women.
Yeah,
We
you
know
do.
that violence can happen at any second if we both want it to. If I say or do a certain thing, every man on earth just knows this inherently. So we
Mm-hmm.
watch ourselves. You know what I mean? We don't say
Yeah.
certain things, we don't do certain things unless we want trouble. And
Yep.
yet, no, YouTube, I'm not telling anyone to get in a fight.
Of
But he
course not.
does it the punk way, sneaking around, dumping water on someone's head who can't watch. And Miyagi's like, no, I'm going to teach you to fight, but I'm going to demand more out of you. And I think when we reject fathers and we mock them and we reject masculinity and all that comes with it, then we reject that what it teaches and benefits society. And I
Yeah.
do love that how masculinity, your father, see, there we have that saying, it's a face only a mother could love.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's an instructive saying. What it's telling you is that your mother's love, and I mean this in the best way possible, it's cheap because it's
Mm.
abundant and it's free. You don't have
Yeah.
to do anything to get it. She carried you for 9 months. She loves you. Your
Yeah.
dad loves you too, but your dad demands things out of you. Your dad tells you
Mm-hmm.
what boundaries are. He tells you what standards are. He tells you what's possible if you're willing to work hard enough. And you earn your father's love and respect. And since
Yeah.
we've taken the father out of culture for the last 100 years, but really intensely the last like 40, we've
Yeah.
destroyed standards. I mean, look
Well,
at the art and the media around us. It has no standards anymore. Everything is
yeah.
relative. Well, and the reason that happens is because we got rid of the father figure saying, no, you don't go dump water on someone's head when they're not looking. You
Yeah.
confront them like a man.
You
And if
only
you
do
have
that to
to,
your friends, by
right,
the way.
you do it
That's
as a
not the only.
joke to your
Yes.
buddies for a laugh. You
You do
don't
that
do it
all
because
the
you want to
time.
hurt someone.
Yeah.
That's
You don't do
weak
it
as
to your
shit.
enemies.
But what you
You
do,
know?
it's a great picture, so I got to scroll and find it. You
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
do this. I mean, just physically look at the composition of this picture here. They are bigger and stronger, but you still
Mm-hmm.
go stand up to it anyway. How many
Mm-hmm.
problems in life feel bigger and stronger than you?
Yeah.
But this is what men do. And a real man shows Danny that after he got his black eye that he deserved for being a punk. He
Yeah.
says, no, we go look the dragon right in the face and we
Yeah.
tell it, no, I'm not going to do these cheap things. I'm going to do it the right way. So I love it. I love the representation here. And
And he
we need
calls
to bring it
out
back.
Johnny for his bitch move too, by the way, which I think
Right.
is important to point out.
Right.
Johnny is bigger and is undefeated in Daniel LaRusso fights. He only caught Daniel LaRusso because he had a bunch of other guys with him. And Miyagi goes, 1-on-1 is fine. 5-on-1 is too much to ask for anybody. And that's
Right.
another interesting thing about this story. But the reality of it is that, and this is the thing I can't overstate, is that the purpose of a lot of this culture that we're in right now is real simple. It's not what these stories are about. It's about demoralizing people. So what it's about is it's about weak, resentful, and petty men and vicious, resentful, and petty women trying to make the beautiful life that's possible between men and women as impossible as they can.
Right.
And they want to make it so that they say men are weak and they're going to betray you, and they show you the men that they've raised. They say women are going to betray you and don't get married. She's going to take all of your income. She's going to do like, that's what they say. Divorce is the natural state of marriage and all this stuff. But that they don't do is give you a solution for how men and women are going to work together. Because that's the foundation of us. Society is built on the premise of us having kids, or there's no society. That's it.
As you've said multiple times on this show, I'll paraphrase, I can't quote, but like, we're here and we're doing society and culture, all this, because of men and women getting together.
That's it. We don't get together, we're done.
Yeah, that's it. And when we get together, how do we get together? How do we interface? How do we complement and benefit each other and lift each other up and inspire each other, make each other feel safe and loved and feel like, oh yeah, that is possible. I will try harder. I will fight harder for you. And you're going to fight harder for me. If I start caring about you and him and her and the kids and quit just caring about me, and then you do the same. You care about everyone and quit just caring about yourself. That was the lesson of Groundhog Day, right? Yep. If we all focus on that, we'd be living in the year 5000. You kidding me? So yeah, we got to bring these roles back. Can
we do a role reversal for ladies here? Because you did a great one for ladies that was on one end. So if the best, I feel like I'm Kevin Spacey, dear God, Verbal Kent, let's say, in Usual Suspects, because Kevin Spacey's scary. But when he says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled, this is the greatest thing in the world. If training women that if someone says they're beautiful or attractive or they should smile because they're beautiful or whatever, that's a bad thing, is utterly about people who would never be told they're beautiful and never be told that, who have an ugliness in them, wanting people who are not to be told that. So here's a great way of looking at this. Imagine walking up to a guy. I even say this to my wife all the time. I go, imagine walking up to a guy and saying, "You look really handsome today." Imagine what his natural reaction that would be, or say, "Wow, you look nice in that shirt." That guy will think about you for the rest of the day. He'll go home. If he's married, just tell his wife and go, "Someone told me I look nice today." Like, it's a ridiculous power to have. You could be trying to do you say, "I play baseball, I hit home runs for a living," and some cute gal can come up to you and go, "Hey, slugger," and you'll freaking blow it, man. It's like that is the secret of this stuff. And there is something beautiful in that fragility of compliment. There is something beautiful in the way that we can take each other's breath away in terms of the whole, interplay of the sexes. And when men forget how to do it, how to compliment a woman in a way that's great,
right?
And it's like you see it in Crazy Stupid Love. They have that actor, whatever, I always blank on his name. He's
I don't remember.
He's
either.
In Drive. What's his name? Ryan Gosling. He's in Drive.
Mr. Handsome himself.
Mr. Handsome dude, right? And he plays this total alpha Chad. You know what it is. And it's he walks up and he's got the approach. He knows how to approach ladies and all of that kind of stuff. It's a wonder to behold. And the whole thing he's doing when he's walking this guy through getting dressed and get ready is like, this is how, let me teach you how to be a man. And they hit Daniel hard, right? At the tournament, they say, oh God, I wish they could have gotten him for Cobra Kai, but he wouldn't do it. He's Steve McQueen's son, the guy with the bleach blonde hair. Right. Is Steve McQueen's real life son. They couldn't get him for Cobra Kai, but he has that great line. "Hey, Danielle, what's the matter, Danielle?" Girl's name. "Mama not here to dress you?"
Right.
Because he doesn't know. And who dresses him, by the way, shows that he's not quite there yet. Ali comes in and says, "I know how to do this because my last boyfriend, who you're about to go fight, I've put his outfit on before." There's some stuff in there. There's some subtext.
Right, a little bit.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I like this comment here. The MGTOW, for those of you that don't know, it's men going their own way. And it's this online philosophy of women are garbage and I'm just going to do whatever I want, never get married because they're going to divorce you. And that is such a weak loser mentality. It's better to try things and fail than to not try, because I'll argue with anyone. There's no such thing as failure, like from outside. Failure comes from within when you choose not to do something or to quit. That's actually what failure is. If you attempt something over and over and it doesn't work, that doesn't matter. You're still a success because it's in the trying and sincere, like bleeding, like fingernail scratching trying, that kind of trying, not like, well, I tried, but like for real trying, like with passion and vigor and all that. As long as you do that, no one can say crap to you. So I agree with you, Henry Bemis, that, and now I can't see anyone but Mick when I look at Henry's avatar.
Yep.
I didn't realize that was Mick from Rocky there with a little mustache.
Well, dude, MGTOW, and if there were such a thing, which I think actually is feminism, WGTOW, women going their own way. Let me just following off on what we've been saying before. Let's address what that way is. Extinction.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, yeah,
men
yeah.
go their own way and there are no women, the species is done. If women go their own way and there are no men, the species is done. Like, we might be able to genetically engineer it, but for us as a species, how we are supposed to exist, for people who care about nature and how things work and blah, 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 everywhere else but in humanity, that's where it falls off a cliff.
Right.
And I think it's and by the way, we're here to try to form the most incredible intimate connection you can form with somebody. And
Right.
you have all these opportunities, but if you don't have a good connection with your parents, you've got work to do on yourself, not with them. That,
Right.
the horse is out of the barn.
Right.
If you've got to like figure out, if there's no man in your life, you've got to find men in your life who can help you to be the man in your own life. And
Yeah.
so what I always say is that the power of femininity has been more or less erased. The power of sexiness has been more or less erased in women.
Yeah.
The power of masculinity has been erased by society giving you permission. And what this movie was about is it happens on an individual basis. It happens on an individual basis. You have to, no one's going to give you permission to be an individual. Guys, that's what Comicsgate is.
Yeah.
It's we're taking permission. I'm here to be successful on Nosfero, make this project happen. If people are with me on that journey, we will go on that journey together. If people aren't, then I'm going to be looking for those people who are. I'm not going to blame that these people aren't there. I'm going to find the people who think it's worth spending time together and that want to help me work and create this thing. And I want to create great entertainment for them.
Right.
That's what I love.
Yeah, I want to address this here because I
Mm-hmm.
want to respect people's opinions and think deeper. Most Melendez, it says, well, Gabe, some of the MGTOW are men who went through divorce and had everything taken from them in court with child support and alimony. 100% agree. 100% agree that the court system in this country is completely sexist, should be illegal what they do to men. And I haven't been divorced. I've been married going on 26 years now, so I can't speak of that pain and destruction. My brother has been divorced for years now, and I see from the outside the devastation there. And I know as a child of divorce myself what happened between me and not seeing my dad enough. And thank God my dad and I are like this now. And but it was many years of not. And I would say this to you, and take this in the spirit that this is intended. If this is you, most, if you are one of these men that have been fucked over, it's a tragedy what they do to men, and it's heartbreaking for you guys. And the worst part is no one cares. Men have all these problems. They get screwed over. They lose their money. They lose everything. Alimony, blah, blah, blah. The court ordered, what's that, garnishing wages. They can't see their kids without a court order. I get it. I get it. And it's easy for me to say because I'm not going through it. But I would say this, what I said earlier, it's only failure if you choose to quit. If you keep trying and you keep trying and the courts are unfair and the ex-wife is a bitch and all these horrible things, that's not your fault. But if you keep trying, everyone has to respect you. So I do reject MGTOW because MGTOW is choosing to quit. But I'm saying that as someone that's never been through a divorce. So I do have ignorance there. I don't have the real life experience, but I don't like what it's about because we need families and we need to fight for them.
If I can say something too, because this is important to me too, is I've thought a lot about this because there's no doubt what is being said there. Like, I've had this conversation in my household. The way that things are arranged right now is not right, is not fair. And those need to be remedied, and they'll be remedied by building a coalition and getting the word out by effective communicators. But let's put that to one side. The way I look at it is like this. I am if somebody, and you can only answer this for yourselves, guys. If you're somebody who needs a woman in your life, a good woman, and needs to feel that deep connection with a woman in your life, then that's a different road. But if you can honestly look yourself in the mirror and say, I don't believe in that person. Like if you're, let's say you're an atheist. If you're an atheist and you're not sitting around cursing God, right? And you're not thinking about it all the time, or if you're not, if you cannot believe, it's fine to not believe in God if that's your thing, but don't believe in the devil. You can't have it, you can't, have your cake and eat it too, right? My rule of thumb is this, is that if that's your case, then that could work for you. But if there's a part of you that feels like you need that, right, then that's another thing. The other thing I would say about the dating pool, when people bring that up, is try another pool.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Well, he has an interesting response here. So
Yeah.
he says most MGTOW refuse westernized women.
Sure.
Okay. And we know what he means. Not all women from the West, but the stereotype of the strident, feminist,
Who are they?
man-hating,
Feminists. He's saying I
what
reject. I agree with that, but I would just say,
and I reject that too. I thank God my wife is a traditional, very, very, very old school. Like she works full time, I work full time. There's breakfast for me every morning and lunch half the time, and she's working. We both work at home.
yeah,
She, you know what I mean, and she adores me, and I adore her, and I do my best to be the man in her life, and she's an amazing wife. So I get you there. The stereotypical feminist, I've cursed a little bit on this episode. I don't like cursing, but bitch. No, I don't. I'm not for those kind
I
of
think
women
I already
either,
wrecked
man.
this episode for that.
Yeah,
I'm
this
sorry,
it's
man.
you're not going to have as much monetization. Sorry about the language. I didn't know other way to put it. No, I'm right with you there. And he says he went through a bad divorce. Sorry, man. I've only seen that from the outside as a husband. I saw it from the inside as a child, and it's heartbreaking for you, man. But
let me say this
no,
too.
I don't think MGTOW guys are losers or anything. But I think if you give up on family completely and say you're just going to be this monk or whatever and F society, I hope it all burns down. That's not good for you or society. You know what I mean?
And let me say this. I am certain in what you've written. I will take it on faith. Let me say this. I won't say I'm certain. I'll take it on faith that it was a horrible situation, that your heart was broken, and I want you to know, that I think I can speak for Gabe that we are sorry to hear that, my friend.
Oh yeah,
we are sorry to hear that, and I know it's tough, and I'm not going to say that it wasn't awful and it wasn't relentless, but if there's, if you want to find that person at any point, if you ever say to yourself, you know what, I'm leaning this way now, I think I'm going to do this. I believe that all of you guys have the capacity and the strength to heal that stuff and to figure out what's the best path for you. And I know that you guys are smart enough to weigh all of the things that you have in front of you and make good decisions. That's part of what we believe in with you guys. So much love and respect to you, brother. Much love and respect.
Daniel Craig, James Bond himself. This is an interesting topic, but I think it's too complicated to try to discuss via a chat window. I think he's right there. I think these gentlemen in the chat that have been divorced and talking about it, we'd have to have them on. You know what
yes,
I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
But absolutely zero judgment coming from me. I just do believe that family is so important, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I have spent 0 minutes in any of your marriages. So I cannot judge like you should have gotten divorced. Easy for me to say. What do I know?
Yeah.
I wasn't there. You know what I mean? And it's funny. I even eventually saw that with my own parents. I'll never forget my 33rd birthday because when my parents were getting divorced, I remember laying in the room with my mom, and it was a few weeks before they got divorced. And I asked her, "How old are you?" And she told me she was 33. And then years later, I turned 33. And I said, "Oh my God, I feel like I don't know anything, and I'm 33." And I realized when my parents split up, they probably felt the same way about a lot of things in life, that they still had miles to go to learn anything.
Well, this is the cool thing, right? Is that contrary to let's talk about something that applies to everybody equally, almost regardless of background. Dan with something special there. I love it, man. Dan, don't let the bad men and women of the world win by keeping us apart. And I want to say this too, because this is big for me. That in terms of when I'm thinking about us and what we do here, the idea that go ahead, yeah. Oh God, on an island. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for lightning. Thanks, friend.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, and I mean this is in some ways on a lighter thing too, but also on a positive thing. Let's take a look at Pat Morita's character. Let's take a look at what he overcame in one of the most brilliantly acted scenes of all time, when
Right.
it's the anniversary of his wife who died in an internment camp.
Mm,
Well, this isn't making things lighter. And miscarried their son. And he is at a point. The reason why he's reluctant to train Daniel, the reason why he's always trying to slowly get into this whole thing, man, is that he's looking at it and he's saying, I don't want to get my heart broken again. And what he shows you is there's some young man out there who needs you to be a father in their life, and it's never too late to be a father. Even if you
yeah,
think I'm never gonna, he passes on what his wife was sewing and making to Daniel to wear in the tournament. You know what I
right.
mean? And I really do think that one of the things I've learned from C.S. Lewis and a lot of the people who are really influential on me is um, is that way to bring the funny shop all dirty fatty. One of the things that I think about killing the old dirty fatty, one of the things I think is so beautiful about all this stuff is that Comicsgate is saying, when people look at people in CG, any of us fans, creators, it's never too late to have a blast. It's never too late to rediscover those with mature eyes, with your eyes wide open, the basic beautiful silliness right there, the
Right.
silliness and that lightheartedness of spirit, and
Right.
also for us to kind of laugh at the disasters, so to speak, laugh at the things that happen and say to yourselves that on the other side of that, prolonged frustration can be a breakthrough that lifts you up and takes you to amazing places. And that's what these stories, that's what Rocky shows us, that's what Karate Kid shows us, is that there's what is it, gosh, who was it, the look for the helpers thing, wait, was this about the Karate Kid? You're right.
I mean, it always comes back to family and men with Shantana because that's such a
Yeah, it's
defining
true.
characteristics of our upbringing.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? So,
Yeah, man.
and I do think that we have to be told about ourselves when we're little because you come into the world and they tell you all this stuff and Santa Claus is real and you believe adults when you're little and they're mostly not lying to you. And why do I speak English? Because
Mm,
someone told it to me, right?
yeah.
That's why. Well, then why would I speak hatefulness and
Hmm.
impatience and
Yeah.
ego? You know what I mean? I would speak those things because it was also taught to me and shown to me. And I think that's why it's so important that we do what we can. You know what I mean? To not let there be more Daniel LaRusso's, these little boys wearing sunglasses to cover their black eye because they don't think their mom will do the right thing for them. They're afraid of her reaction. So yeah, I think that you and I, Sean, we definitely it's a nerve. It's not a raw nerve, but it's definitely a touchstone for us. This whole thing about fathers and all that, and what
Well,
is a man? Should I go dump water on someone's head when they're not looking to get back at them? And then you find out that's a punk move. You find it out from a real man. You
yeah, and
know,
I think I'm one of those people that I like the stories, yeah, well, Scott's Lee, it's a good point, but it's like yeah, and you're right, man. This is the thing about it. For me, when I see Karate Kid, when I see, and I see these stories, the thing that I come back around to and that I'm always going to be inspired by looking at them is that, you've got a story that has the power to capture, much like Rocky, much like the last movie we talked about, which is by the same director.
right,
You've got a movie that it's not factual, but it's true. And the truth of this story and the truth of this, this relationship of these different characters. And this is basically, here's the beautiful thing about this story. It flies. Don't be late for work, TBG animation. Have a great time at work, by the way. But this is the big thing, guys, that the 80s taught me, and we will get back to this, by God. We will. If I'm dead on the ground on the way to it, we will get back to it. Different people from different backgrounds can get together and have uplifting relationships. You
right,
could grow up in Okinawa, you could grow up in Jersey, you can meet in California, and it could be the father you always needed. You can be not from the valley, and you can be from the valley, and you can be the high school girlfriend that you never forget. For two guys, by the way, just want to throw that out there. Man, she had something going on.
Right.
And you could be, and as you later find out in that story, as things unfold, you start to see that all of these guys, if that movie was the only movie, it would have ended with all of these guys getting a lesson in learning to respect each other, and all of these different kinds of people learning to respect each other. And that's what it is, and that's what's great about it. It's I love, like, Gabe and I are an example of this. Do you realize that on your stream, the night of the 60-day closeout stream, guys, if you haven't watched it, it's a great stream.
Lots of fun.
How many different kinds of people in every facet from all over the country and possibly even the world did you have in that stream
Yeah.
in one evening? And
Right.
that's what it's like in Comicsgate every single night.
Right.
You've got people from all over the world, men, women, people of all different ages getting together and being like, I need some romance in my art. I need some soul in my conversations. I don't need hectoring politics. I don't need, having my thoughts policed.
Right.
I need real.
Well, let's go there for a minute. I was talking to I won't say names because I don't dox private conversations, but I was talking to a 30-something year pro at DC who I may or may not have worked with, but I definitely know him. And he's a left-leaning guy, doesn't like Trump, nothing like that. But he commented on something of mine and was positive just recently. And I spoke to him privately because I know that they can't speak to me publicly or the weirdos, so will bother them and maybe not give them work.
Yeah.
But we have some very long messages back and forth. And I told him, hey, when I stepped away from DC and said what they were doing to the American way was BS, you didn't mess with me. You didn't call me names. You didn't say I was a racist, bigot, homophobe. Now, I said, I want to say I respect that, man. Because, people in the mainstream, some of them got real funny with me. And he said, no, I have no problem with you. You're great. Your art is awesome. We disagree or whatever. But, dude, he even said to me himself that he didn't like what the current administration is doing. And they're not delivering on anything they said they would do. And he went on to say that the companies are ruining stuff with all this woke craziness and trying to infringe on parent-child relationships. And it's so funny that everything he said is just what we've been saying publicly. You know what I mean? And we got to get back to a place where we have the respect to disagree in public, but also to agree in public. And again, freedom, liberty. And like you were saying, we had so many different people on that 60-day closeout. That was just what an amazing time that was. What a blessing that was. So much fun. And we're all different. And we come from all these different places, but it doesn't matter because we're all the same. Do you know what I mean? We're all humans and we're all just living that same experience. And I think, I don't know, it's just such a beautiful thing to hear from a guy that I know is a left guy and this and that. And he agrees with us. And I think most people do, because I don't think the core values of CG, they're not right wing. They're not left wing. They're just human. They're
American, definitely.
I want to make beautiful things to lift people up. A, to lift people up. B, because I love art and I love making art. C, I want to make some money doing it. And B, hang out with people that share my values. It's so great to have you, Sean. And then I have my new show on this channel, Tuesday nights.
Yes.
The Players Club with Dan Lawless. He's in the chat. Aaron Lopresti, David Williams, Gary Martin. And we share values, but we're not identical. There are things that someone can think or like, and they don't have to agree with me. And we saw earlier, it was a great comment by, was it Mos Melendez? Yeah, Mos Melendez. He was disagreeing with me a little bit on the MGTOW stuff, and it's great to disagree a little, not totally, and still be friends and still get along and still, iron sharpens iron. So I couldn't be more pleased about this community and the way things go here. It's really nice.
Yeah, because we don't see.
Speaking of that,
go ahead. Yeah, that's a weirdo. And I was also going to say too. Yeah, I love that. By the way, Dirty Fatty, you're the man. This is the thing. When I look at this stuff, I also look at it this way. I don't see anybody. I try to avoid turning people into political abstractions or members of a group. I always try to see people as individuals because that's how we experience things. And I think that it's a crazy group of individuals here, and in terms of they bring so much intelligence, so much knowledge, so much experience. But in order to be here, you basically have to abide by what I think of as being, even though it's a global thing, let's make no mistake, it's very founded in the Western, canon, but also it's very founded in American principles, which is innocence until proven guilty. See Johnny Depp. And
Me Too is going down in flames. That's
it
good.
is, yeah, of course. But this is the thing about it, right? But it wasn't the problem was that people didn't understand why the foundation, free speech, freedom of expression, and those things are making a comeback. And for all of you guys in Comicsgate, for all of you guys back in these books, right? For all of you guys, regardless of where things are coming from, we are grateful that you guys are here. You guys are making this stuff happen, and we're working our tails off for you. And I want you guys to understand that it's like this is very much about, it saddens me too, right? The old nickname for Marvel, which I think is now kind of here, the House of Ideas. But you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It wasn't the House of Idea,
Right.
which is what it's turned into. It was the House of Ideas. And this is a place where you bring your ideas out and let the best ideas succeed on their own merit, and let everything earn what it is due. So I take it as a compliment when people say to me, it's a lovely thing and wonderful thing to say when people say No Sparrow is underrated, it should be doing better. I always think to myself, it's my job to make it do better, though.
Right.
It's my job to get the word out there. Like it will earn what, if there's a way to do that, it's on me, and you guys are in it with me promoting the book. I thank you for that. Like, so I'm not saying that's done just by me.
Right.
But what you see in this movie is how imperfect people come together, and they come to understand things. Like Daniel sees himself as this martyr, this poor, pitiful thing, and that the world is so hard on him. He feels sorry for himself, right? He thinks he deserves to, piss in these guys' faces, so to speak. You undid it, Gabe. You undid it now for me too. And they're just going to take it, and he gets his ass kicked. And he thinks it's poor me, and yet he treats Allie like crap, right? Thank you, John.
Right.
He treats Allie like crap over not trusting who she really is. She's been real with him. Yeah. She was just attacked by some guy, and what did her knight in shining armor do? Go whore and run off. So what's that say about him?
No, it's a bitch move, and he has to grow out of that. Move. But he didn't.
Pasta, Daniel. No, sorry.
He didn't have that dad around telling him, "Hey, we don't do that." I've had that conversation with my son many times with you growing up. Like, hey, you don't talk to your mom that way, or you don't turn in homework that looks like that, or whatever. And you tell your son or daughter, obviously, there's standards here. If we want to, you like all this air conditioning and this filtered water? Okay, guess how we got here? We had standards. Would you like it to continue? Okay. Yep. Well, there's a program you need to get with it. And I think, mothers are just as important as fathers, obviously.
Of course.
But this is a specific task that fathers have, is they tell you the truth about yourself. Mother doesn't. You've seen the moms on the news. The bank robber or whatever is like, my baby didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? Like your mother will always think the best of you because you lived inside of her for the better part of a year. How could she not?
Well, and this is the crazy thing too, right? Here's another argument I'll make, and I see some really great comments in there with the I don't like them. Yeah, no drinking.
We're sorry, it's a spicy episode. I got a little
spicy episode.
I'll rein it in. I'll rein it in.
Yeah, we keep it unmedicated, but not always unfiltered. And this is the thing I would say too, right? Is about LaRusso. The difference between the late 70s, early 80s that birthed those glory years was that they showed characters who had nothing facing adversity, right? The second characters started drifting in, and you see this start to happen in the 80s and the 90s, started drifting in and complaining about their status, which is what I would consider high 80s to be. Like, I don't live in the nice part of town, and I don't have the right clothes, and no one gets me because I don't have these things. Rocky was kind of like, I don't care if I have that stuff. I'm gonna hit a bottle. I'm sorry, Sly. Sly, I love you. Sorry for that. It was a terrible imitation. May God have mercy on my soul. But I will say this: is that do it, Gabe. Come on, you got this.
Well, I'm trying to get the vocal cords there. It takes a second, and you gotta You, you put me on the spot. Go
No,
ahead.
don't do
I'll
it. Yeah,
say
I
a
know.
little
I don't
bit.
want you to lose your voice because we got a lot of streaming ahead of us, now after you wrap up these freelance jobs. But it's like, it's it's yeah. When Johnny Lawrence throws, and we got to go there because someone brought it up. When Johnny Lawrence throws Miguel in the pool, and he goes, and he says, "Cobra Kai never dies. Kick your legs. You can kick your legs." And then he goes, "I should have asked him if he could swim." Like those are the those are the things that are really what it kind of comes down to. And it's God, it's so much easier said than done. And I know that the second this leaves my mouth, I will find myself in a situation where I look myself in the mirror and have to say this to myself, which is when you guys share that you in any instance, and these are the movies we're looking at. You've been through tough experiences, right? Or you've been in a fight where things weren't going well, as it was for him. The issue is what you do next. It's the old "so what, now what." If you know what the rules are, and if it's stacked against you, great characters tell you, you deal with the rules and you move forward. I want to be on the biggest show in Comicsgate. The most assured way to do that, if that was a thought I had, would be to make the biggest show in Comicsgate. And then I would be guaranteed.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? But there's a lot of room between the biggest stuff and the stuff that moves things. And Gabe and I, it's just discipline. We show up every Wednesday we can. We've got a ton of stuff going on with our work. But being here with you guys is how we build this stuff.
Right. We have to
being
earn
here
it.
with you guys.
Yeah.
We want to earn it. I won't say we earn it. We want to earn
We
it.
want to earn it for sure. Absolutely.
That's right. Every
and it's
day.
fun. They make it fun. You know what I mean?
Man.
Oh, I just had a thought and I let it go when I said
Sorry.
that. Oh, shoot. No, it's okay. It'll come back to me, I'm sure. It's funny how your brain does that. It'll work on it in the background, in background task. But okay, so Devin, we got through the whole movie except for the tournament, and there's a few things we wanted to mention in there that are great. So Cobra Kai, we have I want to call him Creel so bad. Kreese.
Yep.
Jeez. He's telling his students to fight dirty. What is the name of the kid that he gets him to bust up LaRusso's ankle? I forget that character's name, but
I'm totally blanking on it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They injure him so he can't fight good, and he has to end up fighting Johnny Lawrence in the final fight. But he's all jacked up, and he's still telling him, sweep the leg. And Johnny Lawrence, as a kid, he's a bad guy, but not really. You see, it is Kreese pushing him to be evil, and that's the dichotomy of Mr. Miyagi saying, "No, these are the standards. This is how men comport themselves. This is how you act."
Yes.
And the other teacher's the Dark Father, right? And he's saying, "Nah, just win at all costs. It doesn't matter. Sweep
Bobby
the leg.
was
Sweep
the guy.
The leg." And that great line, "Get him a body bag." I love that line.
Yeah, but so Bobby was the kid who was the one who says he's had enough, and the one who says, "Daniel, I'm sorry," who has to break his leg. Chad McQueen, because Steve McQueen's son was the bleach blonde kid, and the kid who said, "Get him a body bag," was Tommy. So it was Tommy was the one who said, "Get him a body bag." Tommy was the true sadist who eventually ends up in a body bag on Cobra Kai, which is some of the greatest writing. And tragic that in real life he did pass away, so that was written in that way. But he this is the thing about it, right? It's like these kids are clearly being forced out of they know they're off their moral center at a certain point. You know what I mean? And Johnny wants to let the stuff go. He wants to bury the beef.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's because, and it's an incredible thing, that settling it like men, one-on-one. Let's hash this out.
Right.
And that's what it's for.
Yeah. I do love the dichotomy here, though, of you have the good father, Miyagi, and then the evil father. And they're telling the boys how to act. And they're just boys. You don't know. Oh, that's the idea. And it just came back to me that these punk moves, see, I cleaned up the language that LaRusso's doing in the beginning of the story. It's the maturity that we all have to learn of. There's the way we want the world to be. So we fight for that. We fight for that. And if you mature, which, you do, you realize it doesn't matter what I want. It matters what's real and what's true. You know what I mean? I want ice cream to give me 6-pack abs. Okay. And then I turned 7 and realized that's not how things work. You
got to paint them on.
Right.
Oh, wait, sorry. Never mind.
But, LaRusso has Arrested Development because he's already, allegedly 15 or 16 here. And he's still thinking like he's 8. that he, you know what I mean? He wants to have his cake and eat it too. Although I like the Italian version of cake and eat it too better. It's
Mhm.
you want your wife drunk, but your wine bottle full. I like that saying better, you
God,
know?
that's real. That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
Yeah,
romantic.
I mean, and by the way, people saying that Captain Kreese is a war hero. This is how I see him. I have to tell you, as much as I like Kreese, I'm really because of Cobra Kai now. I've really come to love Terry Silver.
Oh,
I love the part where he's like, "Man, what are you talking about? I was on so much cocaine, I was terrorizing a high school kid." I just love this is the darkest explanation for that character. I was on
uh,
so much coke back then, I was terrorized.
yeah, it is one. I don't subscribe to Netflix because it is so
Mm,
woke. I don't want to really
yeah, yeah.
support them.
Well, a
But
lot
like
of other people are apparently with you.
once a year, I will
Yeah.
subscribe to Netflix once a year
Mhm.
and then watch Cobra Kai and then unsubscribe a week later. So that
Yeah.
has been a tradition for me for a few years now. So, but yeah, that new show, and you're talking about Silver being on coke terrorizing a kid. That is hilarious. One thing I like about this show is it never seemed overly woke or anything to me.
No, it's
But
not. But you
yeah,
know that their channel, as Elon Musk has brilliantly said, is they're paying the price of a lot of things, overspending and overspending on
right,
ideology over. See,
right.
this is the crazy thing, right? Um, the most amazing thing, and Bancroft and I were talking about this on his channel recently, is how a small group of effective people with their you can get a hold of a microphone and convince people that things are bigger than they are. But one of the things I really like that I learned from Ayn Rand and Atlas Shrugged, what she wrote was, that basic principle of John Galt, that character, which is existence exists. And the reality is that when what's that other great quote that you can avoid reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. And that is one of the
Jeez,
things, right? The consequences of avoiding reality are what are befalling this particular group of people. And
right.
it's the evils of the National Socialist Party of Germany. They were avoiding the consequences. They were avoiding the reality of humanity and what humanity is really about, and they suffered the consequences of that. The same thing goes with the Soviet Union, and any country that goes down a road where we deny reality, we deny fact, is going to run headlong into it. There's
Right.
no getting around it. That goes
Yeah,
for me, you, and anybody.
right. Yeah. You deny it, you will run into that wall at 800 miles an hour where
Right.
reality doesn't give a crap what you think, you
Exactly.
know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so the tournament is I think it's a great climax of the loving, but, demanding standards father. And then the other father who's all about his own narcissism and ego. And like, he's the kind of coach. I coached a lot of youth football and
Yeah.
then, into middle school, high school age kids. And I love youth sports. I'll go back to coaching it when I have grandkids.
Mm.
But the worst part of youth sports is daddy ball,
Oh
where the
God. Yeah.
coach's dad is the starting shortstop and the coach's dad is the running back, wide receiver, quarterback. And it's all about the narcissism of the head coach father.
Yep.
And Miyagi loves Daniel. That's why he's hard on him. And, Kreese, he doesn't love anyone. He doesn't love his kids. He doesn't love his students. He loves himself. He loves
Mm-hmm.
me. I love me some me. That's what he
Mm-hmm.
says in the morning into the mirror. And that's why he wants them to win because he wants to hold that trophy up. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's all about him and his glory. And I
Yeah.
think that's, and unfortunately you see that in some parenting. This
Mm-hmm.
movie is such a great metaphor for fatherhood, for parenting, and the disastrous way, and all three major types. No
Mm-hmm.
father, that's LaRusso at the beginning. Good
Yep.
father, LaRusso during the middle and the end, or bad father, and that's Cobra Kai. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And we see the three types of father in this.
Yeah.
Three major types. I'm sure there's other types, but you know what I mean. So I think it's a great way to put a bow on it there at the end to have those two types of fathering styles against each other.
Absolutely.
And he ends up winning on the crane kick.
He
And then
does.
you see Johnny Lawrence isn't a black heart like his
Yeah.
sensei. He tells him, what does he say? You're all right, LaRusso. And he hands him the trophy. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
And and the thing that I will say is great about that. And I understand what they're doing with the story. I think they're doing some brilliant stuff with the story. But just imagine for a second if Cobra Kai had started and those guys were in business together.
Oh,
Remember when we had that beef that we squashed
right.
way back when? Like, I'm not saying that's like, it's funny where they're taking it. I love the dramatic writing. It's not cynically done, and it actually is. I think what's so great about that story is it's giving, it's showing different kinds of let's say unformed men. It's explaining to them how to get
Yeah,
back on the path and how to do some of that growing up that they need to
right.
get done. I think that's why people are reacting to it. And I
Yeah,
think that, but at the end of the movie, it's beautiful when he says, Mr. Miyagi, we did it. There's this, it's a great thing because he's sharing that moment, but you really get the sense that Johnny is like an automaton for Kreese. He's got all
right.
this skill, but he's got, he's got a someone who doesn't give, he's losing his sense that anybody gives a damn about him. You know
Right.
what I mean?
And you know what I forgot? That's why he's this automaton. I forgot. His
Mm.
father is the
Yes.
rich, like absentee. That's the another
Mm-hmm.
bad father where
Yep.
he exists and you know him and you see him, but he doesn't exist in the heart. He doesn't care. He's in his own world with the narcissism, just
Yeah.
like Kreese. He's in his own world with it's about me, baby. I love
Yep.
me some me, you know,
Yep.
and that's
Absolutely.
and that's I don't know if it's better or worse than absentee. I suspect it's a little better, but still terrible.
Mm.
But my goodness, it must hurt to have someone right there that you can touch, and you're still a million miles away. You know,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's one of the more it's there's all different, there's all different flavors of hell, and some are we'll always sort of look at and say, well, that's almost objectively horrific, but I don't think it can be overstated that Kreese isn't getting into that kid's head about there being a air quotes absent father there. Because by the way, yeah, you're all right, LaRusso. There you go. There's the shot right
right?
there. I
Right.
love that. And by the way, let's also talk about this is something I really want to make sure we talk about.
Okay.
Those guys have the reason why you have Cobra Kai at this point, happening, and the reason why it didn't happen sooner is because they were keepers and protectors of this story, and those guys have been friends since the movie. They have
Right.
been close friends since the flick.
Now you saying real life or in the
Real
fantasy world of
life,
Karate Kid?
those two
Oh,
guys, yeah,
that's excellent.
they're close. So yeah, and there's as actors and with all their different career stuff, they've kept in touch and
That's
they've been
awesome.
together, and they were a huge part of. They wouldn't have gotten back together to do this if that weren't the case.
Right.
And they joke with each other about the movie and who cheated and like that. They do that in real life. They have that banter, but it's at the end of the day, they're having in this point in their career, they're having a resurgence because of so much of pop culture could learn from this, but a reverence for the material and a commitment to not doing it unless they can do it right.
Right.
And they're quite successful. The real actors, both of them are fathers, both of them are family men, and they have yeah, thank you, Scottsley. You're all right too, brother. You can be my wingman anytime. So
Right.
this is the
I wanted to address this. It's serious
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
very sweet
sure.
and kind, but it's very serious. So I definitely need to address this. Dragon Pisces, who I don't know, but he or
Mm.
she started showing up last week at the 60-day closeout is where I
Oh,
noticed you. You
yeah.
had some amazing riddles. I think that was last week, right, Sean? Remember
Yes.
they had some riddles for Truth, Justice, American Way.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, Gabe, you're the father I needed right now. My dad is overseas, and because of the time zones difference, we hardly talk. Thank you for the fatherly wisdom that I need in this trying time. It's an honor to be told that.
Right on.
I really don't know how to respond, but if I can be that for you, and I can help you in that way, it's an honor because like we're all humans and we're all born alone and we die alone. You know what I mean? And while we're here, if we can just touch each other a little and say, hey, you matter, you're important, you're capable of things. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, man.
that's why Shant and I we keep talking about this every week. We talk about Mr. Miyagi every week. and
Yeah.
it took us, half a year to get here or whatever. But this is what we're talking about. Like, hey, these are the standards. We don't do that. You
Hmm.
can do it, but why should you? You know what I mean? And that Jeff Goldblum, they spent all
Hmm.
that time figuring out if they could and no time, like, if they should,
Well,
So
and you and I have both you and I have both been on that journey of both, figuratively or literally, looking for that father and trying to form that connection with their father, and then
yeah,
being that father as well. And if people get anything out of these streams, I hope it's that it's know where you're going to. It doesn't matter. Like, be aware, check the rearview mirrors, look at where you've been, look at the things that you've experienced. Don't try to, ignore any of it. Just confront it forthrightly. But you can move forward. And these movies can be, again, the biggest thing we say in Comicsgate all the time. We want to make aspirational stuff. My
right.
character Nosfero had a hard time. So did Bruce Wayne. So did so many of the great, comic book characters. But the thing is, that's not what defines the character, but it's not something that doesn't impact, it hasn't shaped the character. You know what I mean? And I just think that's a wonderful thing, and I'm glad that Gabe can be that positive influence, man. That's a great
Yeah.
thing.
But listen, don't put all your faith in me. Do not do that, because who knows? Will we ever speak again? Like, what if I
Hmm.
just quit YouTube or whatever? Don't
Yeah.
put your faith in me that way. I'm happy to, help you
Yeah.
guys, and I love connecting.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I'm a Christian. You don't have to be under no judgment. That's a very personal
Hmm.
decision to be religious or not. But it does say in the Bible that God is the father to the fatherless.
Hmm.
And I believe that in my heart. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And he can be your father. I don't know if you're religious, but he can. And it's something I've had help me out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And a husband to the widow and a father to the fatherless. But and you're not fatherless, but you're missing your father, and that feels the
Hmm.
same. You know what I mean? It's terrible.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you
But
need it, it's real.
old dirty fatty, golly, a heart goes out to you. Didn't get to
Hmm.
really talk to his dad, and now he's dead. My dad is he's about 73, 75. He won't tell me how old he is, which is, men never do that, but I don't know why. But he won't tell me. I
Yeah.
have my suspicions he's about 73 years old. And they divorced when I was 8. I'm 43 now. And we didn't talk a lot growing up. We didn't hate each other or
Yep.
anything, but we just didn't. And I suspect my father was extremely neglected because he has 11 siblings. So I
Mm.
think he was taught neglect. So I
Yeah.
think he didn't know how to
Yeah.
connect and this, that. And I love my father dearly. He's a good man. And I did spend time with him growing up, just not nearly enough. But we were on the phone the other day. It's so
Yeah.
funny. I love my dad. He's a bit of a Luddite with technology. He just got a cell phone like 3 weeks ago that my younger brother bought him. Like,
Hmm.
because my dad went to Miami for 3 weeks for a thing with friends. And he was on the roof of this fancy hotel, just inches from the water. This friend of his is not a millionaire, he's like 100 millionaire or something. And it was literally on that the strip right there, where you're literally 30 yards from the Atlantic Ocean. And he's on the roof of the building, and he's all, look it up on Google Maps. We were on the phone because I talk to him all the time now. Is the point of this, is we get along now. And he's all, look me up on the phone. And I go to Google Maps, I write the name of the hotel, and I look at it, and
Hmm.
he goes, can you see me? I told him, Dad, I told you Google Maps is not a live image. I told you that before. And,
I
and I
love
told
that
my
stuff.
daughter that, and she told me, you should have just told Grandpa yes. You should just
I
told
see
him.
him wave. That's right. Yeah,
uh,
man.
but he's
But
told me that twice. He's like, can you see me? And I'm like, Dad, it's not a live picture.
and I will
But
say,
he was telling me on the phone there, he's like, yeah, when I get back from Miami, you got to come out to Colorado. We got to see each other more. And, we're all getting older and stuff. And I love it that it's never too late, that he didn't know how to connect, and not out of any maliciousness to me, my brother. I know he was neglected. He had 11
mhm,
siblings and they were poor,
yeah.
talking about dirt floors, talking about they ate meat once a week if they were lucky. He lived in Libya, and I'm pretty sure he was born in the late 40s, and he lived through Gaddafi's revolution, murdering my, some family and friends of my dad and all that. And he comes from another planet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't think he knew how to relate to me and my brother and stuff like that. And it's so great to have finally turned it around in the last 2 years or so with him.
Mhm.
And then he's excited to get together, and he's going to do something like that. Shit, my dad would never do this. Like I said, hey, Dad, there's a big UFC fight in Vegas in the future. We should all go. And he's like, yeah, we should. Let's look into it. He would
Yeah.
never have said that 5 years ago. And
What-
it's so great. So I'm relating that to this for you guys, where I tell you there's only failure if you choose to quit. My dad's an old man. How much longer is he going to live? Right? He could get lucky and live, 20, 30 more years. But you never know. And the
Mhm.
fact that even though he's in a much older age, he didn't give up. He's just like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'll just try hanging out. The past is the past. It's too bad, a lot of tears, but let's just move on in victory. And that's what I want to send to all of you guys. Your hearts have been broken in ways I don't understand. I don't know you. I don't know your story,
Mm.
but everybody gets it, man. Everybody gets it right in the nose from life. And you just
Yeah.
get up, wipe that blood out of your teeth and get up, you
Yeah.
know?
And you, even if you have to do it moving on, as Johnny Lawrence found when he goes to see his old dad trying to have a connection with him, he's like, "You've always been a loser, Johnny." Like, there's always that experience there too. And those are the tough calls that you have to make sometimes, and it's in terms of when you see Johnny Lawrence, like, and I don't mean the call about separating himself from his father, by the way. I mean the call about mentally and emotionally stop harboring, trying to fill that hole inside of him with this
Right,
person as a grown man. And the thing that I love, the one thing I will say about this movie, actually, I should say that I don't love, that I'm not wild about, especially once it was confirmed for me that the gentleman who directed Rocky also directed this film. What was confirmed for me about this was, I think that the message of this film is is where we start to drift into this place that I'm a little, we start drifting, dare I say, and I know this is sacrilege because I look at my headband. I love this movie.
right.
It's a little Mary Sue that the black belt karate champion who has been training hard probably since he was a kid with Kreese, and according to the faux history, he was. And this guy who's been studying it for 3 months is taking out every student in that dojo. I think if he had made it to the end and lost like Rocky, but they had that moment, "You're all right," where those guys give him the respect,
Right.
it in some ways there's something that when we stopped teaching that going the distance is like what it's about. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's if you like and this is beautiful for me, for Comicsgate, is a thing to point out, is that if you decide you're going to do a project, you are taking a legitimate risk. When Rocky went down the road to try to beat Apollo, he was taking a real risk, as evidenced by the fact he didn't win, but he did gain respect
Right.
from people around him, in his community and in the boxing community. In this, the sense that if you train and you do the right thing, that it's always going to result in, or you do your best, let's say, it's always going to mean you win. Then I think that that's something that I don't know. I'm not saying that he has to be utterly defeated, but I'm saying if you win everything, it teaches a different lesson.
Right.
Do you get what I mean? And there's
Oh,
nuance
yeah.
in Rocky that is, and granted, it's for a younger audience, but it was like, it's like Rocky 2 without Rocky 1.
Right, right. It would not have the impact. Rocky 1 has
Mm-hmm.
that impact for so many reasons, but because he doesn't win the fight. But I
Mm-hmm.
do think for a children's, or not a children's movie, but it's aimed at a bit younger crowd,
Mm-hmm.
teenagers.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I think you do want him to win because maybe the
Yeah.
Rocky lesson, we'll teach them that when they're a little older. When
Sure.
they're 17, 18, 19. If we got 12-year-olds watching this, maybe he needs to win for the fantasy element of he practiced for 3 months and beat them somehow. So
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, well, we got to the end of that movie. I like fake Dan Aykroyd right behind the trophy.
Yes.
Look at
Well, yeah. What's up with that?
it. It's fake
What's
Dan
happening?
Aykroyd.
Dan
Oh my
Aykroyd is
goodness.
there.
But yeah, I do hope that we can do that with this show and this over analysis of these great movies, and to bring you
Yeah.
guys a hope, because I think a despair is it's just blackness. It's so empty. It's so awful. And I think there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of despair in the world. I think there's a lot of directionless people, and through no fault of their own, they've been sold a bill of goods about life, that nothing matters, that you're a clump of cells on a pink or on a blue dot floating through an endless eternal void, and why does anything matters? It's such a hateful way to look at the world, and it's not your fault you were bathed in that and told that. But
In
Sean
honor
and I
of
are here
that.
to tell you different. We're here to
Yeah.
tell you you can have your heart broken and you can come
Yeah.
back. Hell yeah, you can. You know
You
what I
can.
mean?
Yeah.
So
In honor of that, Gabe, and that statement, this bandana, which is the reverse on one side
oh,
of Miyagi Do, I will flip it
Oh, oh,
In defiance of the darkness, in honor of this
ooh,
stream and your wise words for the day,
oh,
folks.
thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can end it there. I don't know how we could
Yeah,
top
brother.
ourselves. That was a great episode, my friend.
It was, man.
What a good movie.
What a great
What
movie.
a good. I love finding these gems. What should we oh, hold on, super chat. Always got to
Mm-hmm.
honor those. Those override things. Jimmy Owens for $5. Thank you so much. Very, very generous, Jimmy. You're
Go,
right.
Jimmy.
Moved dad in with me years ago. Spent good time with him. Cared for him. He died in October 2020. Very sorry to hear that. With me by his side. Grateful for the time. Yeah, I was in Phoenix on Sunday for my step uncle, I guess, his memorial service. It was a life celebration. He died on President's Day, February 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And, we, friends and family and different people couldn't get from California to Phoenix until this weekend. So I drove to Phoenix on Saturday and I drove home on Sunday. It's a 5-hour drive each way. But it was such a beautiful ceremony. And if I could talk about him for a minute, his name was John Holman, and he
Mm-hmm.
was, a lawyer. I think he was a captain in the Air National Guard Reserve. He was a president of his class like 60 years ago at Arizona State University. He worked on Wall Street in the 80s and made tens of millions of dollars. He owned all kinds of real estate. He ran marathons on 7 continents. He was one of those guys with an absolute motor. And you never would know it because he didn't tell you. Everyone around him would tell you all these accomplishments of his. And my poor aunt lost him, but he was one of those guys that could never stop achieving things. And he was a smiley, nice guy, loved to dance, treated my aunt like a queen. And after the service, after we like going over his life and all this fun stuff, I thanked the pastor for doing a good job, for my aunt and talking about it. And I thought real quick, and this is what I want to do more for you guys out there. Thinking of this great man, John Holman, that achieved so many things. I realized that his achievement, and he was so generous. My mother's disabled. I won't go into it, but he's let my mom live with them for like the last 4 years. And we've had trouble finding a place for my mom, my brother and I. And this man doesn't know my mom. You know what I mean? He doesn't owe her anything. And he let her live there because he has the wherewithal, and he was very kind to her. They became very close. But I think someone that achieves so much and is so generous and all this stuff, it's an act of love to achieve things and work hard. When I tell you guys, your mouth is bloodied and you get up, when you get up with the broken nose, you're loving me. You're loving Sean, you're loving the world. And here's why. You're inspiring me. The French saying in warfare, the esprit de corps, right? The spirit of the body, and the body meaning the soldiers. When I look over at you and you quit and you're terrified, then my morale can go down. But if you see me get punched and I shake it off, you can look at me and get brave, and I can look at you and get brave. So a guy like this John Holman, who just fights and fights and wins and goes through all this stuff, it's an act of love because it inspires you to let you know what's possible, and you can make something of yourself, and you can be useful to other people, and you can inspire them. So I think, what a great guy. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to do here, is to inspire you guys, to see you guys say, he had this career at DC Comics in the mainstream, making all this money, and he nuked it. Well, that's a punch to the gut. I nuked it by saying, I'm not doing this crap, but I get back up, and you guys lift me up, and God lifted me up, and Sean lifts me up. And I hope that inspires you, that what you're terrified of, but you know it's the right thing. I hope I can inspire you to do it. So I just wanted to say that before we go. I wanted to, I guess, a shout out to John Holman, legendary dude.
Absolutely. And while still looking eye, and I don't even know if there's any real cultural background for this, I bow to you, Chad. Still looking eye. I bow to you. Great stuff, guys.
Okay. Are we out of here? Did you have anything else? Or
there's no time like the right time.
Yeah. Okay, what's the show for next week? What do you like? What are you feeling?
How do we follow this?
I said you gotta go less serious, more goofy. What's a good goofy one that still has good messages in it? Heartfelt one, some bro stuff. I'm seeing a little John Candy and a little Steve Martin. What do you think?
Planes, Trains?
You want to do Planes, Trains?
We could do that. We could do oh my gosh. Like, you're right. Like, I feel like there's a movie on right on the edge of my brain. So what have we done so far? We have done We have done, yeah. I was actually thinking, you know what's so funny is I was watching the opening paratrooper sequence of Red Dawn the other day.
Oh my gosh.
Dragon, I'm not even kidding. I was watching that just the other day.
I've
But
never
yeah,
seen it. Can we get something out of it? Red Dawn?
oh my gosh, yeah, it's a
I don't know the
movie about
messaging. I mean, no, it's like kids
the
defend America
Soviets
from communism.
paratrooper into America and take it over.
Seems
And
like it's a metaphor for something we might be dealing with right now.
exactly, it's a
Should
true
we, is it
story.
is it this a good one?
What?
This is a good one? I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a
Okay.
classic for what it is, man.
Dragon
It's
Pisces with the win there. Red
Red
Dawn
Dawn.
next week. I'll see you there. Hey, guys, we love you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and then please, I got it here somewhere. Well, I had it. Okay, the links are in the description for Nosfero and Truth, Justice, American Way. Back our books, guys. Support us. We want to keep bringing you great content. And I said at the beginning of the show, my creator-owned book, Truth, Justice, American Way with David Williams, that's going along great now. But Beef Law is actually happening now. After 3 years of delay, Beef Law, forced to fight against his will in the underground kumites in Hong Kong, Max Volkov will fight to save his family.
Oh,
it's Beef
man.
Law, guys. It's
And listen,
1994.
I want to do Red Dawn, but I also want to throw something else into the mix that you just made me realize is a movie that is very tied to Nosfero, and a movie that I think we definitely owe this show and this channel, which is we've got to put on the books John Milius's Conan the Barbarian.
Oh,
we have got to, because not only for your Arnold imitation, it's not the only you know, here's the funny thing. If you could do, we've done Big Trouble, we've done, and which was great, and I had a great time on that. And I want to say this: if this is the problem, if you could do a good James Earl Jones imitation, there'd be work for you, because that's the greatest voice of all time, right? You know, that's the crazy thing about James Earl Jones, man.
Right.
But yeah, there's so much stuff. And so we've got Planes, Trains, someone wants us to do. We've got Red Dawn, and we'll throw Conan in the mix, and but Red Dawn we'll shoot for next week.
Okay. Oh, and one thing, sorry, I'm delaying us. Jay Lee, I said I would show the work I did for him today. I colored this up. He illustrated it. The Steins, these amazing vampire novels. You can get them on Amazon, right, Jay? I don't know if Jay's still here. I thought I saw him commenting.
Yeah, there's Jay Lee.
Yeah, I colored this up for him today. This was a lot of fun. And this is one of the great characters from the Steins. So, yeah, we got some talented fans out there in CG that are now transitioning to making their own books. The Steins, that was a work I had the pleasure of doing this afternoon for him. The colors on that. So, yeah. Jay Lee, The Steins. Check it out on Amazon. All right. I said I would mention that, and I forgot. All right, guys. Love you. We'll talk to you later. Red Dawn next week. Bye-bye.